Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. This is now episode 319, virtual style. Drew is sick right now. He has something going on with his throat. Don't want to get into how he got that,
Hey,
you know.
yo.
Don't want to get into that. But, we got John on the show as the fifth guy. It's virtual, so we got the space. Now, listen, on this episode, we're going to debate where the Lions rank amongst top NFC teams, if we're worried about the Eagles or the 49ers. If Tua is running away with the MVP, we all know the answer to that one. And give our power rankings after week 6. How you guys doing, fellas?
I don't want to know what Riv has to do. I don't even want to know what he just turned his camera off to do.
I'm here laughing because I know for a fact he turned his camera off because his grandma walked in and he's butt ass naked.
Oh no, he's cooked.
Yo, I cannot laugh too loud. My head is rocking right now.
We're back.
What you have to do there, Riv?
Oh my god.
No, what happened was the light kept flickering off and on. So I was sitting on it. I'm good here.
Oh, that's way less.
You
That's
should have kept your camera on while you fixed it.
Dehls, I don't think you're connected to your mic.
I'm not.
Dehls.
You know, I had
Dehls.
ass in the camera, so I had to turn it off. Yeah, it was definitely in there. Yeah, my bad. We're here though. We're here. We're back.
Talk now, Dehls.
How am I sounding now? Am I sounding better?
You
better.
sound better. You sound better.
Okay. I asked
how
if I
you guys
sounded good
doing,
before we went
fellas?
live, and everyone's like, "You're good." I'm not liking Riv wearing a Phillies hat. It doesn't sit right with me. He's got his Stros in right now, down 0-2, but no love to the Stros. Phillies up. All of a sudden, he's a Phillies guy.
No, fuck no. It's a nice hat. It's definitely it's a nice hat.
The hat's pressure, but definitely thrilled that Texas is up 2-0.
Have y'all seen
And I'm-
Jordan though? He is the greatest player ever.
He's him. He's
Yeah.
him. He's so cool too. I can't
gonna-
even hate on him.
We're gonna come back.
He's
Don't worry,
tough.
Dels. We'll come back.
Not.
We should all know by now that Riv is a front runner.
Oh,
Yeah,
kind of spitting. A little
100%.
bit. A little bit.
Yeah, I'm an Astros fan, man. I love it here. It's great.
Go to hell.
How you doing, Drew? How's everything going with you?
All right. I'm not feeling the greatest. Unfortunately, I put us in this situation where we have to record from home, but this has become, I guess, a lifestyle for me at this point. I'm here in this chair at least 2 times a week now, so adding a third, not too bad, but feeling okay. Glad that we can get this episode in because it's a lot of topics that are Andrew friendly. So it's going to be a fun show.
The first thing we're going to talk about are the Detroit Lions. Right now, they're 5-1 after beating the Buccaneers 20-6. Now, that raises the question.
Well, I'm so sorry, bro. I have to bring this up before we get into serious conversation. Is there have you been reading that people think that you are wearing a wig?
Yeah, I have been.
Bro, what the fuck has been going on with that? I'm genuinely curious. Where the hell did this come from?
I've got a haircut and no one knows how to react.
I got a fade. I put my hair back.
He's had that before, though. That's the funny part.
This is my hair. So listen, when I take my hair out of the bun,
sexy like a
just
lion.
falls down. It lays flat like
Daddy
that.
shit.
That's how
Your
it
hair
is.
back in the bun.
Oh yeah, I'm about to.
It's
I'm
in my
about to.
hand.
But I think that's where it comes from. People seen my hair in the bun once, and they thought that I cut my hair completely off.
Bro, Riv.
My bad.
Riv. Oh my god.
All right, let's get serious. My bad. We're a little tired. You gotta have some spunk in, wake us up,
That's more than just spunk.
My
But
bad.
it's definitely not a
sure.
wig, though. It's definitely not a wig. It's just my hair. in
Nah,
the
it's
bun.
natural for sure.
Yep.
Not cutting you short.
Mm-mm. The Lions, they are 5-1. And when it comes to the Lions, I think before the season, there was some people buying the hype. There was some people timid on buying the hype. But they have shown thus far that the hype is very real on this team. They're 5-1, right up there with the 49ers, with the Philadelphia Eagles. And that raises the question, do they deserve more recognition and respect as a top end NFC team and not just as an afterthought behind the Niners, Cowboys, and the Eagles?
Yeah, we'll start with me because, of course, I'm the Detroit Lions guy on this panel here. And the question is, do they deserve to be recognized as one of the best teams in the NFC? No, they don't deserve to be recognized as one of the best teams in the NFC. They deserve to be recognized as one of the best teams in the National Football League, period. When you have a top 5 offense, you have a top 5 defense, you have a top 10 receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I've been trying to tell you guys is like that. And week after week, he goes and proves to you guys that he is a top 10 wide receiver in the National Football League. Right now, you arguably have a top 10 quarterback in Jared Goff, who's put himself into a similar light with Brock Purdy and guys that aren't as talented as these upper echelon guys, but are in the MVP conversation because they are the quarterback of their team. They are up with the upper echelon quarterbacks in the league statistically. Jared Goff coming off the week where he led all quarterbacks in passing yards. So you have a top 10 quarterback, arguably. You have a defensive player of the year candidate in Aiden Hutchinson. You have one of the best offensive lines in football. You have one of the best top 3 right tackles in football, can play left tackle too sometimes if you need him to, in Penei Sewell. You have a coach of the year candidate as well. You have one of the best offensive play callers in Ben Johnson. The Lions seemingly have it all. So 100% they deserve to be in this conversation, and the proof's in the pudding. They've been nothing short of amazing.
Proof is in the pudding. Listen, the Lions got to get the respect. Drew's not feeling well. That's what I know. The 2-minute monologue. That's how you know. That's how you know Drew isn't feeling well, because we got in and out of that monologue real quick. That was the shortest I've ever seen in my life.
He gave Amon-Ra one sentence. That's how you know.
He really go in
I told you about Amon-Ra, and he kept it pushing.
I had to be construct. I had to be direct to the point and make sure we get in and out of here.
He's got to save those reps. But
true,
no, the Lions absolutely, they've been balling, man. I mean, offensively, I think we know what they want to do. They want to run the ball, right? This is a team that is giving David Montgomery 30 plus touches when he's 100% healthy. And off of that, they've kind of compiled this bounty of weapons with Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, who is banged up, but when he's healthy, we see how explosive he is. And Jameson Williams, he got back into the lineup a couple of weeks ago. Last week, he scores that big touchdown. And while we don't really think of them as a down the field kind of team that's going to beat you through the air, Jameson Williams opens up that possibility, because I don't think the weapons they have right now, with Amon-Ra being more of a intermediate type guy, Sam Laporta, who is athletic as hell for the tight end position, but once again, it's probably going to beat you more over the middle of the field than over the top. Jameson Williams opens that up, but I think it's really defensively where you have to give them their credit, because even last year they were great offensively, but what they're doing this year is really unprecedented in Detroit Lions history. Right now, they are top 10 in terms of scoring defense and in yards. Since 1971, there's only been 2 seasons where the Lions have ranked in the top 10. What they're doing right now is something that really never happens in Lions history. The last 6 years, going back to 2017, their scoring defense has ranked 23rd, 13, or excuse me, the last 4 years, 23rd, 13, 21st, and 16. They've been bad. Like, their defense has been terrible. And this year, you really have to credit Aiden Hutchinson's development, because he's second in the NFL in pressures. He's leading the way in terms of who is that superstar on your defense that's going to bring this to another level. Right now, he's right up there with the Max Crosbys, with the Myles Garretts, with the TJ Watts in terms of production on the field. He's not that type of player, but he's getting to the quarterback at that rate. And Drew mentioned as well, they also have on the other side of the ball a play caller who we all think will get head coaching interviews and probably a head coaching job at the end of the season, with the way Ben Johnson's been able to orchestrate this offense really these last 2 seasons. You have to give credit to Jared Goff, who's been kind of casted away after leaving the Rams, thinking this is kind of a throw-in. He's someone that's just going to hold it over till they get that franchise quarterback. But Jared Goff is showing what I do with Sean McVay is not a fluke. If I have a good play caller, weapons around me, and an offensive line, I'm going to be able to put up top 10 production at the quarterback position. They could run the ball. They could pass it. The defense is there. The only thing I think that's stopping them, or maybe that has to be proven, is they have that big win week 1 over Kansas City. Kansas City is without Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. If you look at the rest of the schedule, these last 4 weeks, they've beaten the Bucks, Panthers, Packers, and Falcons. They lost to those Seahawks week 2. So the competition hasn't exactly been there outside of week 1, which you give them credit for, but also understand they're missing their best 2 players. And they're banged up too. Brian Branch is banged up. Jahmyr Gibbs has missed the last couple of weeks. Emmanuel Mosley, David Montgomery just got hurt. So they're also dealing with their own injuries. But I think this upcoming week against the Baltimore Ravens is going to tell us a lot. If they go in there and dominate the Ravens, there's no world, assuming we'll see what happens with Philly and Miami. That's going to be a great game. But if they go in there and dominate the Ravens, they absolutely have a chance to be in the top 5 in the power rankings of the NFL, period.
I think they're top 5 right now. I think they're 5-1. They should be a top 5 team in the NFL right now. And this is a team that's a top 5 offense. They're a top 10 defense. And really the biggest turnaround for them has been the consistency of the rush defense. Last year, at the second half of the year, they really turned things around in that aspect. But they're the NFL's best rushing defense this year. And it starts with the effort by the linebackers in the secondary, because this team, the defensive line, in terms of pass rush win rate and run stop win rate, they aren't at the top of the league. They're 31st in pass rush win rate and 28th in run stop win rate. So what's really been helping this rush defense out has been those linebackers. It's been Alex Anzalone, who right now he has 10 run stops. It's been Derek Barnes. It's been Brian Branch in the secondary with 7 run stops. It's been even a corner like Jerry Jacobs, who he has 3 interceptions on the season, but he's also a great run defender. So the Lions did a great job with building around their personnel with guys that can stop the run and give effort in those areas. So I think that's been the biggest strength of their defense. The secondary is still a bit vulnerable, but they don't get gas like they used to. It's not chunk plays. They're not giving up explosives, and I think that's a huge relief. As for the offense, I understand Sam Laporte deserves his respect. He's one of the best rookie tight ends. He's the best rookie tight end right now, and in the past couple of years, he's the best rookie tight end up there with Kyle Pitts. Amon-Ra, we know he's a great receiver, but I think the deep threat this year, even though Jameson had that play last game, and hopefully Jameson continues to play well, but I think the deep threat has been Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds has been able to stretch out the field and give them that element on the offense that they didn't previously have. I look at the NFC. The 49ers are the only clear team over the Lions. The Eagles, they can't mess with the Lions right now. They can't. They're not as a complete of a team as the Lions right now. The Cowboys, from a talent perspective, they can match up. But we seen last night that Mike McCarthy is going to make some questionable clock management decisions and questionable play calls. So when you talk about the Lions and the Cowboys, you trust the Lions as a whole because of the coaching and their infrastructure. The Lions are the second best team in the NFC right now. They're the most complete team. They got a great offense. They got a great defense. They got a quarterback that's playing well, unlike the Eagles, who a quarterback is not playing well. So, yeah, the Lions are the second best team in the NFC right now.
And there's 2 big things. Ro, do you want to go?
You could go. He's been waiting to say that. He's been waiting on the Eagles L.
5-1, by the way, Riv. Yeah, first loss of the season.
He's been waiting on the Eagles to lose so he can have his moment. Go ahead,
don't let Riv fool you.
Jalen Hurts loses twice every 25 games, so he's got to get his licks in, right?
Don't let Riv fool you. He's 3-7 when he's pressured over 40% of his shots.
That goes back to the first year he started.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't even know what games you're talking about. You don't know that, bro. You don't know. Defending your man Hurts.
Joel, do the math. What's Jalen Hurts in these last 26 games? 24-2
game last year.
I don't care, Dehls.
So if he's 3-7, that means 5 of those losses came 3 years ago.
I don't care. But listen up. Right now, this year, he's looking like his sophomore self this year. He got a worse passer rating than his sophomore self this year. Yeah, he's regressed. Now, Dehls, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, you got it. I won't bat an eye when you defend him like that because I know that you defend Jalen Hurts. Riv can't fool me, man.
I'm going to defend my boys.
I know Riv. Riv is not a real Jalen Hurts guy. As a sophomore, he didn't believe in Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts broke out last year. He still ain't believe until the Super Bowl game. We was talking about after the NFC Championship game when we had the argument, Riv wasn't even a full believer in Jalen Hurts. And right now, whenever Hurts makes a mistake, Riv's the first one. This guy hurts, man. This guy hurts. He can't fool me, man. He's not a Hurts guy. He can't fool me.
Well, for starters, because I know John, he's itching to go. For starters, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles guy. I will defend my team to the death of me. I'm not gonna defend Jalen Hurts when he does some bullshit. In the Jets game, he did do some bullshit. Like that was.
We got a whole Eagles topic. I don't want to get into it now because we got a whole Eagles topic
Go ahead,
up
go
next.
ahead, John. Talk about the Lions. Talk about
So
the
we're
Lions.
talking about quarterback consistency here. And coming into the season for the Lions, there are two big questions. Number one was, can Jared Goff sustain what he did in the second half of last year? But the second thing to me was this defense. And Joel, you touched on it. The Eagles this year have the NFL's second best run defense. They're getting up around 65 yards a game. The Lions are the only team ahead of them, giving up less than 65 yards a game. And you credit the linebackers who have played very well. Jack Campbell's rookie stepping in day one. He's played well. But to me, it's the defensive tackles. I think of Isaiah Buggs, who stepped in from Pittsburgh, and he's made a big difference alongside Lee McNeil. McNeil in year 3, former third-round pick, has taken a huge step forward. And when I watch him play, he's just one of the best athletes. He can get pretty much as a pass rusher, consistent, bend, and then as a run defender, he's been dominant. Alongside Aiden Hutchinson, it's been one of the best defensive lines. But more importantly, right now the best quarterback in the NFC might be Jared Goff. He's playing his most consistent football since 2018. And you look back, again, those big guys, to what he was in that season, he was a top 10 quarterback. Right now he's completing 70% of his passes. And after last year, the big thing was him and Jameson Williams could not get on page. They're 1 of 9 with each other. Second game with the team, they're connecting. With Jared Goff in structure like this, he's winning games on the road in Green Bay, Kansas City, and also Tampa Bay. I think there's still another gear to this Lions offense. Jameer Gibson getting a little more run, but when Goff is playing at the level of top 10 quarterback, which he has, more consistent than Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy, and definitely a Dak Prescott, you look around at this conference, it's like, well, let me think. What quarterback has been more consistent this year? Kirk Cousins, maybe. And that's the only one. His team is 2-4. Matthew Stafford, yeah, but the production's not there. He's been playing great, but statistically, it's not close right now compared to Jared Goff.
Matthew Stafford's the best quarterback in the NFC right now.
Okay, I'm glad. Thank you, Joel. Thank you.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but statistically, it's a wash.
Jalen Hurts still deserves that respect.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We don't have to talk about Jalen Hurts. He didn't have a playoff run as great as
though.
Matthew Stafford, baby.
You know what?
Matthew Stafford was way
You know
better.
what?
Stafford.
You know what?
I don't hate
Dehls,
Stafford. What are you
Dehls,
talking about? I love Matthew
What we're
Stafford.
gonna do is, I'm not
What
gonna
the
do
hell?
this. I'm not gonna make this Eagles versus Lions thing. I'm just gonna give the Lions some
You
love.
should, as you should.
That
as
was
you
one
should.
of
They
the
deserve it.
people that were low on them, and they have been balling. So let's just. I'm not going to even feed into the bait. I'm gonna just say the Lions have been impressive. Shout out to them for being 5-1. You know, and John mentioned it. They do have another gear to this offense. Drew was excited to see JMO get a touchdown, score a big play. He can turn this offense. Him and Gibbs can definitely turn this offense to another gear once they get acclimated. They get situated in their roles. This is definitely an offense that has another gear, but their balanced attack of the rush game, plus the short to intermediate routes with Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, David Montgomery, like they've been doing their thing offensively and defensively. That was what we were talking about in the offseason. Can they make that jump defensively to where they can be at one of the top teams in the league? Now, my buddy, I don't know if I could put them on the Niners level. I still think the Niners are the best team in the NFC by a good amount, by a good margin. But I think you can definitely put them in the Eagles and the Cowboys tier. I think it's those 3 teams right now. They're fighting for the race to face the Niners. So I think the Niners, even though they had a bad game, against the Browns, who are the best defense in the league, we'd still think comfortably that they're the best team in the NFC. They provide the most challenge on both ends. But I think the Lions, like you said, I don't want to repeat too much, but the Lions definitely deserve to be in that conversation. Even though Dallas pulled out a win last night, which it felt like they wanted to lose that game bad. They pulled out a win last night. You still think Detroit has probably been the most consistent out 3 of the groups, on both ends, defensively and offensively. And Dehls mentioned it. They haven't played great competition, but you got to play who's in front of you, and they've been consistent on both ends. So shout out to the Lions. They definitely deserve to be in that conversation.
And I just want to correct something I said in terms of their last 4-year scoring defense. I was looking at yards. Their last 4-year scoring defense has been 26, 32nd, 31, 28.
This is quite possibly one of the best Lions team that Lions fans have ever witnessed.
Yes.
The only one I can maybe think of was the mid 2010s Lions team
2014
2014 with the top 5 defense, and the offense wasn't clicking all that much, but they had a great defense that year. Dehls mentioned a knock with the Lions, and it's the strength of schedule. They did beat the Chiefs week 1. Week 2, they lose to the Seahawks in a thriller. Could have went either way. Then their last 4 games have been the Falcons, Packers, Panthers, Buccaneers. They're 5-1 right now. And honestly, when you look at the rest of their schedule, it's not going to get much harder. They're facing the Ravens this weekend, but then after that, they got their next toughest opponents are the Chargers, Saints, and Cowboys. Then they have a bunch of division games against the Bears, the Vikings. They have one left against the Packers. So they have some tough opponents remaining. Ravens, Cowboys, Chargers, their defense isn't nothing to rave about, and the Saints is okay, right? But like they're not going to be challenged much. So we're looking at a team that can realistically finish with 11 or 12 wins in the NFC when it's all said and done.
Just that
They
Dallas
could push for that. They could push for that 1 seed. I
They
mean,
could.
with the schedule upcoming, they could push for that 1 seed. And I know I got laughed at for saying the whole dome situation. Jared Goff's numbers dropped kind of significantly in a dome. His passer rating drops by about 10 points, completion percentage by about 7 points. Obviously, you know, he played outside some in LA, sometimes in the dome. I don't remember if they were there in the dome. But overall, if they could get the 1 seed and they're home playing in that dome, like the defense has been really good, but I'm still believing more in this offense just because the level of quarterbacks they've played so far through the season. It could be putting in a little bit, you know, skewing the numbers a bit because it's even similar to Cleveland, who defense has been phenomenal. I don't want to take anything away from them. But if you go through, they're playing some rainy games, they're playing some backups where they're historic, but at the end of the season, I don't think it's going to last. Just have to remember that since we're only 6 weeks through the season.
I want to highlight something for the California Kin and Jared Goff. So I think most of us think Matthew Stafford, Lions legend right now.
California Kin?
California Kid.
Oh.
So Matthew Stafford, Lions legend. This year, he's been balling out in Los Angeles. But if you were to compare him and Jared Goff side by side, it's actually crazy how well Goff is playing. Stafford is completing 61% of his passes. Goff is completing 70. Stafford has 6 touchdowns. Goff has 11. Stafford has 8 total turnovers. Goff has 3. Stafford's throwing for 279 a game. Goff 269. And when you look at these two offenses, they've been some of the most explosive in the NFL. I think Jared Goff needs a lot more credit because every single week, minus the Packers game, he's been a top 10 quarterback. And when you look at this Lions offense, we all know Ben Johnson's most likely not going to be there next offseason, but the head coaching opportunities. If he's leaving, this is the golden opportunity. This is a year where the expectation is clearly you win the NFC North, but it's not just winning one playoff game. It's, all right, can we make a deep push? And I think that's why Lion fans had such a high expectation for this team, knowing when you lose a great offensive coordinator like Ben Johnson, you know, the last year with him is such a huge window of opportunity. And in this NFC, the Lions have had, I think, the best case scenario. The 49ers are beat up and the Eagles are showing some weaknesses. This is their year to really surprise some fans.
Now, John, let me ask you a question straight up. Do you think the Lions would trade for Matthew Stafford, Goff for Stafford straight up right now?
Given the injury concerns with Stafford, probably no. He's a couple of years older.
I'll tell you what. With how great the Lions' offensive line is, and of course, you have to give credit where credit is due. You ultimately have to do a job, and that's what Goff has done. But again, with the offensive line that Matthew Stafford is playing with over there in Los Angeles, comparatively to Detroit, it's night and day. So Stafford in his own right has been impressive, especially 1 year removed from missing a good portion of last season, balling out for the first 4 weeks without his number one wide receiver, turning a guy like Puka Nacua into a guy that we're talking about in his rookie season, talking about him being offensive rookie of the year right there with the CJ Stroud, who right now seems to be the runaway. But think about how great you have to be in that conversation alone. But all in all, Detroit has been amazing. You do have to play your schedule, but what they've done to those teams that they're obviously better than is beat them up. They've beat up these last couple of opponents that they faced. The team that they didn't beat up, that they did get their win against, was Kansas City, but that was a churn it out on the road, going up against the reigning champions. Great week 1 victory. But again, the teams that they should beat, they've beaten very handedly. So I don't disagree with you guys at all. This strength of schedule bodes very well for the Lions, and they're just going to continue to dominate. I have no worry about that at all.
I think they beat up the Packers, the Falcons, and the Panthers. I thought the Buccaneers game was kind of close. I thought Baker Mayfield just missed a lot of opportunities that they could have scored on, and it could have been a much closer game. What was that, Dehls? What are you saying about Baker Mayfield? How about you respect Baker Mayfield?
He's mid.
Stop disrespecting Baker Mayfield. Don't you like Daniel Jones?
Ooh,
He's really mid.
He's
really
Daniel
mid.
Jones.
Tyrod Taylor just outplayed that bum. Stop playing. Yes, he did. Did you see how many explosive plays Tyrod Taylor generated? He rolled out.
Did you see how many points they generated?
Daniel
How many
Jones would
points
never.
did they generate?
9.
My brother
Wow.
in Christ, the score was 9 to like 10 or 12.
14.
14.
14. Like, what are we doing? What do you mean he played? They had 9 points.
I don't
Tyrod Taylor
give a
still played
fuck
well,
about
though.
9 points.
I don't. Maybe he did.
Now it's funny though. Tyrod Taylor plays well with the Giants with all the problems they have.
They
Drew
still lost.
doesn't care about it. Daniel Jones plays like absolute shit with those same problems. Oh, Daniel Jones, he needs help. He needs more.
He didn't have
You're
Saquon
not getting that
Barkley.
same excuses to Tyrod Taylor though.
He had
Respect
Saquon.
He's a
Saquon
Pro Bowler.
played.
Tyrod's a Pro Bowler.
Saquon
But he was making
Daniel
exposures
Jones will
to
never
Sterling
reach that in
Shepard
his
we ain't seen
career.
in years.
Saquon had a big
Sterling
run.
Shepard looked like he was.
I haven't seen Sterling Shepard play on the field with Daniel Jones, which seems like in lifetimes.
It seems like excuses on that part because Kenny Galladay's been on the field. DJ got
Kenny
nothing.
Pickett guy, by the
Yeah,
way.
Kenny Galladay fucking sucked.
I can't believe he goes from a Pro Bowl wide receiver to falling off the face of the earth. He at least
That's
does
on him.
Kenny Galladay was
Isaiah
Tyrod Taylor
Hodgins
was
Jones
there. It
plays
wouldn't
the role.
happen.
Isaiah Hodgins was clearing Kenny Galladay, and Isaiah Hodgins got cut a couple weeks before joining the team.
Isaiah Hodgins is a good player. No, I think
Hodgins-
Joel's making a point though.
Kenny Galladay sucks, man.
He's fucking
Holiday.
ass. I
He
mean,
got
what
his
are we
back.
doing?
Shout out to him.
He did.
Shout out to him is right. He's a very rich man.
There are now no undefeated teams in the NFL. The 49ers and the Eagles, not undefeated. We all picked the 49ers to win. We ain't all picked the Eagles, those frauds, to win, though.
Oh,
I
God.
picked them to lose. And Rib was over here telling me, there's no way the Jets are winning. But you saw that defense. You saw Bryce Huff. You saw Quincy Williams. You saw Quinnen. You saw JFM. You saw Jermaine Johnson do his thing. You saw, our backup secondary did the thing against your team, man. You can't rock with the Jets. It's as simple as that. We finally beat you 1-12 all time, but this was the win that was sweetest.
Screaming at you beating us one time at a
This
13.
was the sweetest
We needed that.
victory. It's funny. All your quarterbacks in your history of your lifetime, they've beaten the Jets. Carson Wentz beat the Jets. I think Kevin Cobb beat the Jets. Donovan McNabb beat the Jets. Only one that couldn't do it was Jalen Hurts. We cut off those wings, baby. We flying high off of engines. And the topic is, who are you more worried about, the Eagles or 49ers? Well, it's quite simple. I'm not worried about the 49ers. I know if they matched up with the Eagles right now, they would dog walk the Eagles. That's 100% a fact. I'm worried about the Eagles.
I'll be honest, bro. Like, no matter what answer you pick, I win either way. Because if you're not, if you're not worried about the Eagles, that means you're assuming Brock Purdy's going to play well, which means I win. And if you're not worried about the Niners, that means you're assuming the Eagles and Jalen Hurts are going to play well, which means I win again. So regardless, I doesn't I win anyways.
Do you watch this front running?
You're moving nasty.
This is major front
nasty.
To talk about
Joel, to be fair, didn't you say last year during the AFC Chip, I can't lose either way. Mahomes wins, I win. Burrow wins, I win.
I'm not an actual real fan of any of those teams. I'm a fan of their quarterbacks. I'm a real Jets fan. I will never, ever, if my team is facing another team, root for that team and be happy if the other team wins. Talking about you can't lose. If the Eagles lose, the team you're a fan of you lose. What are you talking about?
There too.
First of all, you lost me because I don't root for anybody on that fucking team other than Brock Purdy. I don't give a fuck about none of them other guys. But to talk about don't really care. He's
That's Joel's guy.
That's Joel's guy for sure. Yeah, he's a Brandon Ayuk guy. I think 100% it's got to be you're more worried about the Eagles. I just think we have more flaws than the 49ers as a whole. I think the 49ers, especially on the defensive end, their secondary knows how to hold down the fort. They got linebackers and Fred Warner, who's probably the best in the game right now. Their defensive line is probably just as good as ours. And then offensively, they may not have the offensive line, but Brock Purdy as a processor is able to get the ball out quick. Ayuk is able to get open. Debo's been playing very well this year, so that's good to see for them. And then they have CMC, who's the best running back in the league. Plus, they have Kyle Shanahan, who he clears our head coach. So I think with the Niners, you just see a much more complete continuity with them. So I think that's why you trust in them regardless of who they put out there, as opposed to the Eagles. I feel like we have a little bit more flaws. And our secondary is just not good. Our run defense has been good, but our secondary is not good. Even last couple weeks, Smitty hasn't been getting in offense. He's been huge dropping passes against the Jets. Jalen Hurts has been turning the ball over a bit much this year. He hasn't been trusting the coach's game plan a little bit too much. The run game has been great on offense. That's something that's been really good. A.J. Brown has been flawless this year. But I think right now. We just haven't been able to put a complete game together. We even before that game, before the Jets game, we were 5-0, but it still felt like we had another level we needed to get to be a championship team. And we said it every week with whoever we played. It could have been the Commanders, the Patriots, even the Vikings game. Like, we still felt like the Eagles still needed to get to another level to compete with the Niners. As the Niners, they played almost complete football on both ends. And I think the Eagles, I don't think they can get to that level because I think the secondary doesn't have the talent. I think Slay and Bradbury, as great as they was, they're reaching that certain age for cornerbacks. And Slay's the only real good cornerback we have. Plus, injuries to that secondary has been destroying us. So I think I definitely 100% trust the Niners more. And I think the Eagles can still give them a run for their money, because I think offensively we can compete with any team in the NFC. We probably have arguably the best offense in the NFC, but I think defensively in the secondary is where we get torched up, and I think that's going to be our big issue.
The Eagles' offense has definitely have a different style to it this year. Last year, it still was very RPO heavy. They were taking deep shots, don't get me wrong, but it was still mostly RPO heavy. And I don't have the numbers. I would love to know if there's a site out there that tracks RPOs and how many times they're doing it. But right now, it feels much more of a traditional drop back style offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I'm looking at Jalen Hurts' numbers. He has the third most big time throws, but he has also the second most turnover worthy plays. The only guys ahead of him are Gardner Minshew, who, how the hell he's even on this list? He's played 2 games, Desmond Ridder and Mac Jones. And we look at the 20-plus yard attempts, Jalen Hurts is number 1. So they're taking a ton of deep shots down the field. And what really got them going in their groove last year was when they were doing these RPOs, getting Jalen Hurts on the move, they were able to pick up those chunk plays. This year, it's been much more drop back centric. And while you want to see the progression of a quarterback, like, of course, you would love to see Jalen Hurts down the road be like traditional drop back quarterback. He could just pick apart the defense and go. I mean, he's still, 25 years old? This is his 3rd year starting in the NFL, full year starting. So it feels like they might have been taking that step a bit too soon, where last year we saw this work. We saw them be one of the best offenses in the league with a much more RPO heavy style of offense. And this year it just hasn't clicked the same. And even in a game where, listen, I'm a Jets fan, I'm happy they won. I mean, they had 4 turnovers. Jake Elliott misses a chip-in field goal, who's been automatic all season long. Defensively, they hold Zach Wilson to basically doing nothing. Breece Hall basically doing nothing. Garrett Wilson
Smitty's dropping passes left and right.
Smitty's dropping passes. So a really sloppy game from Philly. Obviously, the Jets defense was spectacular. That pass rush, it proves why it's one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. The defense is top 3. You have to give the Jets credit. But it was a really sloppy game from the Eagles, which it feels like every single week it has been. And you're hoping at some point they could turn this around. But then you look at their upcoming schedule, it's not pretty. I mean, Miami, what they have to focus on right now is Miami Sunday Night Football.
That's an L.
Because this could really turn around their season either way. If they go out there, have a bounce back performance, beat the Miami Dolphins, nobody's talking about the Eagles being an issue. Nobody's talking about the Eagles being, was it a one-year wonder? Should they be in a tier below X, Y, and Z? If they go in and beat Miami, all of that gets thrown out the window, and most people probably don't even care about this Jets loss. But if they lose to the Jets, then they go into Miami, and let's say Tua and that offense goes off for a 500-yard game, and they lose 40-21. Now there's going to be some nasty conversations around Philadelphia. Defensively, or at least no matter what happens, they're still one of the best teams in the NFC. I just think the conference is so weak. And I know you want to put Dallas in that same tier. I was not moved by that performance last night. I mean, 20 points against the Chargers. Are we serious? That defense sucks. It was just a battle of who wanted to lose more. Justin Herbert had one of his worst games as a pro, and Dallas ended up getting the win. But beyond that, Philly, regardless of outcome, is still going to be one of the better teams in the NFC. They're still going to win 1 or 2 playoff games. But right now, there is a clear gap between them and the San Francisco 49ers. Coming into the year, I thought the gap was a little bit closer, or I actually thought the Philly was the best team, especially coming off that Super Bowl performance. But right now, the Niners are on a different level. I'm not worried about them because Brock Purdy had his worst game. Why do you have his worst game? He's on the road going up against a historic defense. They lose multiple of their stars while the game's going on, and they probably still should have won the game if they made the field goal. You can make the same argument about the Eagles. If Jake Elliott just makes that 35, 40-yard kick, whatever it was, who knows what happens? They might end up winning that game. But still, it's still too talented of a team with too talented of a quarterback and weapons for me to be overly worried about Philadelphia. And they have a great opportunity on Sunday to turn their season around and go and beat Miami.
Joel, you funny. I seen your little smirk like you ain't picked Dallas to be the best team. You and smirking. You should sit
Dallas
this
and
one
the
out.
Eagles between who's better, really, it's a toss-up right now.
You
I don't-
And when they
struggled
meet,
against the
and when they
Chargers.
meet, and when they meet, Dallas is going to take control of the NFC East. That's 3 weeks away. Mark
Okay.
that on your calendar.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, Johnny Football.
I'm unmoved, but when talking about these two teams, I think they've both got bounties in their heads. But the big thing coming out of this last week is that the 49ers injuries weren't serious. And that's the one thing which could possibly derail this overall roster. All things considered, to me, felt like an outlier versus the Browns defense. You're not going to play that team again this year. You go to the Super Bowl, and then you're going to play a weaker defense, though probably still elite. So when it comes to the question, what team I'm more worried about, I think it's quite comfortably, as you all said, the Eagles were that secondary taking a steep step back this year. Fortunately, Darius Slay's injury is questionable coming to this matchup. He should be good to go soon, and that will help. But you just can't overlook even a star power with not just Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, but the supporting cast of that Niners defense. I mean, it's been flawless this year, damn near top six against the run, awesome against the pass after losing to D'Amico Ryan. So I'm not worried about the 49ers at all coming out of that game. I felt like we should have expected that to be a low-scoring, one-possession game. And as Dehls pointed out, you lose your weapons, you lose some rhythm. You know, that game could have went either way, and I think they're going to have an easier schedule coming up here too.
Just because I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over again, I'm going to break it down like this. The Niners, one game that they've played that was overly impressive, probably the most impressive performance of the NFL season, was against Dallas when they absolutely laid the beat down on Dallas and Dak Prescott. Brock Purdy was absolutely sensational. Outside of that, there's really been no real test for them. But that was a strong test. Of course, we're talking about Dallas.
You wouldn't
Rams
count
came in-
Pittsburgh's defense?
Week one, I don't
We've
know.
been high-key shitty this year in defense, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'll also say week two going up against the Rams. There's one aspect of the Niners that I guess you would say is weaker than the other. Their run defense is solid in terms of secondary, but still, we're talking about one of the best defenses in the league. But this is coming off a week where Deebo Samuel's injured yet again. Now CMC avoids serious injury. That's absolutely huge. But understanding that that's always a concern with you. Trent Williams did get injured in this game. I'm pretty sure that he's all right, though. But now that we're starting to see the big pieces of this offense not be there when you need them, and really this team goes as far as how healthy is CMC, in my opinion, because he is the greatest safety net in the National Football League, right there with Tyreek Hill. So with that being said, Brock Purdy going up against a great defense where he did put his team in a position to win the game, putting them in a position to kick the field goal to win them the game. It's an offense that looked very boring, very dull, and I guess we can account to that being weather playing accounted to it. The defense, of course, of the Cleveland Browns being historic up to this point. They've been incredible, but it's not something that allows me to feel overly confident. The defense is phenomenal, but let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Their run defense right now is third in the National Football League. Jalen Carter didn't play this weekend. Of course, they have injuries in the secondary as well. They're a bottom 10 secondary as of right now, but you have Jalen Hurts as quarterback. The numbers may tell you he's regressed. I still have an insane amount of confidence that Jalen will get it together inevitably. We're seeing him become more aggressive as a passer this season, where last year it was in combination with using his legs to his advantage, but then also being precise and efficient with his passing. So far this season, it's really been him trying to establish himself as a passer, really trying to push the ball down the field, like Joel had mentioned. So am I going to trust Brock Purdy, who's been very good for sure, Or on the adverse side, am I going to trust Jalen Hurts, who had been a top 2, top 3 MVP candidate last season, does not look that same quarterback this year. However, surrounded by A.J. Brown, who has been historic 4 games in a row, over 125 yards. Smitty, who of course, has struggled these last couple of games, but you understand the talent that is. Dallas Goedert, one of the best offensive lines in football, probably the best offensive line in football. DeAndre Swift, who hasn't been the most efficient rusher, but showed versatility as a pass catcher as well. And again, this great elite rush defense. I still believe in Jalen Hurts. I still believe in the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you're asking me which one would I be more concerned of the two, I'm always going to go ceiling and what I've seen already and what I think that you can get to, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. So long as Jalen Hurts is at the helm, so long as they do have these amazing pieces surrounding them, talking about the offense, and the defense can just stay afloat, get healthy, I trust the Eagles more than I trust San Fran down the line, and that's really coming down to Jalen Hurts in the big moments.
I feel like overall, Jalen Hurts in a vacuum might be a better player than Brock Purdy, but he is
in any vacuum.
Brock Purdy. But
good.
The offensive system that the 49ers run, you're going to get better offensive output from Brock Purdy than you are with Jalen Hurts in this current offensive system.
Eagles have the number 2 offense in football right now.
Dehls talked about the RPOs. Last year it was at 8.1 a game. This year is about 4.6 a game. So not a steep, dramatic drop-off, but there's still a drop-off, and he's trying to make up for those easy completions. Yeah, a little bit less than half. He's trying to make up for those easy completions that were in this offense last year by throwing it deep. I think what we're not talking about enough, though, and listen, the 49ers, my worry with them, their weakest link is Brock Purdy. Like, let's make no mistake about it. They have depth issues. If Trent Williams goes down, that offensive line is done for. If Deebo Samuel, CMC go out, they still got 2 All-Pros, but they don't have depth at the receiver position or running backs that you trust on a consistent basis. And they're just a team that's very top-heavy, so an injury can really derail their season.
For sure.
When it comes to the Eagles, though, Jalen Hurts this year has faced more zone defenses, and he's been blitzed way more. Versus the Jets, it wasn't just an off performance. It was Robert Saleh understanding Jalen Hurts' weaknesses and using those against him. On the interception that he threw to, I believe it was the one where he threw it to the
second
left
or
side.
third.
The third interception. The third interception
he threw it to the running back? I mean, the linebacker?
The third interception was inexcusably
It wasn't, bro. He just looked at him and threw it at him.
But that's one of the issues, though, is that Jalen Hurts last year, he would predetermine a lot of his stuff because those are oftentimes the things that he diagnosed pre-snap would be open post-snap. Well, this year, the pre-snap look the Jets gave was a pressure look on that third interception. Jalen Hurts is third down. He's thinking the Jets are sending the house. Post-snap, they drop back. What does Hurts do? He throws it to his first read, his hot read, thinking a blitz is coming, and post-snap, it's, oh shoot, a blitz isn't coming. So that's one of the things that Robert Saleh used against Jalen Hurts, where last year he would predetermine stuff. This year he's still doing it, but he's now not getting away with it like he did last year because there was just a big skill advantage because last year they faced the number 1 easiest strength of schedule. So I think with these more exotic defensive looks that he's getting is making it more difficult for him. And I mean, the drop off between Shane Steichen and Brian Johnson is mountains. Brian Johnson might be a good offensive play caller down the line. He has called some good games this year, but on a consistent basis, I just don't trust him enough to have those easy buttons for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, that to me was the reason why I didn't put him in the elite quarterback category yet, because those other elite guys can diagnose stuff better than Jalen Hurts post-snap, and they have better pocket presence than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts still struggles with sacks, and he still struggles post-snap, trusting exactly what he's seeing. So I think that is really the thing holding him back that he had to prove this year, and so far it's not been good, but I mean, there's still a long season to turn it around.
You said that he's not getting away with the stuff. We're 5-1. And nobody has played the Jets well. Like Josh Allen's an elite.
Dak Prescott did.
That's exactly the
No,
statement I'm
he
looking
didn't. He
for.
didn't. Dak Prescott didn't play that great. They were.
Yes, he
regardless,
did. Dak
He-
Prescott played
he was-
great
he
versus
was-
the Jets.
He
It
was
great for
good.
Dak.
He was.
What do you mean?
Whatever.
He played great.
You said
was
elite
fine.
quarterbacks. You said elite quarterbacks can do all that stuff. Josh Allen didn't play well against the Jets.
Nope.
Patrick Mahomes, two of the top 3 guys in the league, didn't play well against the Jets. So it's not just Hurts. This is elite. Like the Jets defense is just legit. A lot of quarterbacks struggle with them. And once again, I got to reiterate this point. You said he's not getting away with this stuff yet. We're 5-1. So what is he exactly not getting away with?
You're
You're
using
5-1.
team.
You're a top 3 offense in the National Football League. Statistically, you're actually number 2 in terms of total yards. Jalen Hurts has just been turning the ball over a little bit more than what he had shown you last season.
A
And by
little
a little
more.
bit, a lot more.
You're
lot more.
using.
Can I
So
let me
This
finish statements?
the crux in your argument. You're using a team stat to justify a player's performance. The
Well,
Eagles
we're
are
not winning because of our
5-1.
defense.
The Eagles are 5-1 versus the Vikings, who was the best offensive player. It was DeAndre Swift. Versus the Bucks, who was the best offensive player. It was DeAndre Swift. He had great rushing performances. Jalen Hurts has 7 interceptions on the season.
Against Washington, who is their best offensive player?
It was Jalen Hurts, but that's not.
I just wanted to be known that there is a game that Jalen was
but
number
I just
1.
mentioned 2 games. You just mentioned 1.
Well, you need
Jalen Hurts has
give you
7
one, I gotcha.
interceptions on the season. Number 1 in interceptions this year is Jimmy Garoppolo. Jalen Hurts got a better chance at leading the league in interceptions this year than winning MVP this year. And this was some of y'all MVP's picks. Disgusting.
Wasn't me.
Mine
Yeah,
was
it wasn't
Tua.
you. I think it was Dehls.
That was Hurts.
Disgusting.
That was Hurts.
Disgusting.
Yours
Jalen
was Joe
Hurts.
Burrow. What are we
The-
doing?
Joe Burrow's hurt. Joe Burrow's hurt. Joe Burrow's hurt. He got an
Oh,
excuse.
Lord.
He knew
Here
he
we
was
go.
got an
hurt before the
excuse.
season, though, brother.
He got an excuse.
Here we
Now,
go.
Jalen Hurts,
He's playing, right?
he's throwing more interceptions than he did last season, and I think that's in direct correlation with not being able to get away with things that he got with last year. Even if the Eagles are 5-1, you guys have not faced teams that can capitalize on those mistakes on a consistent basis. Versus the Buccaneers, he had turnovers. Versus the Vikings, he had turnovers. But those teams could not capitalize. Jalen Hurts is still playing much worse than he did last year, and despite the team record, is not a reflection on what he's actually struggling with right now.
I'll also add he was the best player in that Rams game too. 300 passing, 70 rushing, 2 touchdowns. I don't have Jalen Hurts' numbers against zone, but at least against the blitz, I think he's been fine. Or facing pressure, in terms of attempts, he's the 3rd most pressured quarterback. His big time throw percentage is 11th. His turnover worthy play percentage is 19th, so above average. Adjusting completion percentage is top 10. So honestly, against pressure, I don't think he's been terrible. The one area though is the turnovers. We've talked about this all season long. Some of it is probably luck, right? Last season, I'm sure he was due for more than what do you have, like 3 interceptions on the season. He was probably due for more than that. But overall, he's taking more shots downfield, right? I just mentioned they were number 1 in terms of 20+ yard plays. In terms of ADOT, he is 3rd in the NFL behind Derek Carr, Love, Justin Herbert. Tied for 3rd actually with Justin Herbert. So they're taking more shots downfield, trying to get those explosive plays. And I think it's almost what we saw with Stafford a couple of seasons ago, where he led the league in interceptions. But since they had so many big time plays where they got these chunk plays, they kind of offset. Right now, AJ Brown's been sensational. He's been otherworldly. But if they're going to have this many turnovers, if Jalen Hurts is going to have and really average at least 1 turnover per game, I don't know if that's going to offset the big time plays you get, especially if your defense is going to struggle like this against the pass and you have a rushing game that's been sensational really up to this point. Last thing I want to say is I don't think it's a coincidence that we're talking about coming into this week, 2 top 5 teams in football. They go up against probably the 2 best defenses they have played all season long, the 2 best defenses in the NFL on the road. They struggle. And now we're sitting here saying, is this a conversation? Is Jalen Hurts, is the regression real? Can we trust the Eagles? I just want to wait at least 1 more week when they're not playing the best defenses in the NFL, and then we could recap.
Against Miami's defense, we're not gonna prove anything either. Their defense is not good, so it would have to be against.
If you win 35-28, that's gonna move people.
I mean, yeah, but I think if we win, I think if we win, it's not gonna be because our offense fucked up. I think if we win, it's because our defense makes a fucking amazing save because both defenses are not good.
I disagree, Riv. I think if you win that game, that means that your offense was better than the best offense in football. That any given Sunday, that just goes to prove that the Eagles' offense is good enough to go up against any other offense and outscore them.
Maybe. I mean, I think our defensive line can cause some havoc in that game.
Absolutely.
They can get some maybe a fumble or a strip sack. They can do something spectacular in that game. But I think both offenses are going to play a damn near amazing game. So I don't think you're going to be able to fault either one. Yeah, like our secondary is banged up and atrocious. Like it's not good. So it would have to be up to our secondary. But it would have to be like a team against, like if we played Dallas or we played the Niners, that's going to be like the real test against a legit defense or something like that. Like I don't think this week would be the week.
So are you attributing the increase of turnovers entirely on the aggressiveness of the offense?
Some of them are his fault.
Yeah, I wouldn't say some of them aren't his fault, but just turnover-worthy plays, regardless of the Goddard one shouldn't be a turnover-worthy play, right? That was just a great play by, was it Quincy or Jermaine who knocked it out?
I probably don't think they track that as turnover-worthy though.
No. Regardless though, I think the aggressiveness definitely plays into it. I'll look up what his ADOT was last season. But some of it is Jalen Hurts just making bad reads.
Because last year he was throwing bombs. Last year he was throwing goal balls all year long. So I definitely would like to know the big time throws per game last year.
Last season his ADOT was 24th in the NFL. This season he's tied for second. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong number. My bad. Let me look at something different. Looking under pressure.
Dak Prescott versus the Jets, 82% completion percentage, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 112 passer rating. He was amazing against the Jets. I thought we were going to shut the Cowboys down.
Dehls told me it was a lot of dinking and dunking, so Dehls lied to me.
What was that?
Yeah, that's how they moved down the field. But they had shots though. They had shots to CD Lamb. He got a couple shots.
Hey man, CD back, man. Last night I needed that.
Streets needed it, man.
Needed it bad.
Christ, bro.
Yeah, CD back.
Last year his ADOT was around.
No Moran,
15th.
but he's good.
This year it's 5th. So yeah, definitely taking more shots downfield.
So before we go on to the next topic, a quick word from Mojo. So Mojo has this brand new contest. It's called Moonshots. And Moonshots is where you can enter a fantasy contest on Mojo Fantasy. It's completely free to enter. They start you off with 200 Mojo bucks. You place $50 of your 200 on a first touchdown score prop for 4 different games. If you hit on all 4, you have a chance to win $10,000. It's free to enter. You have no risk. You have all the reward. You can use our code PAS. Click the link in the bio. It helps out the pod out. And Thursday Night Football, we have some player props. We also have some anytime touchdown props and some first touchdown props. So just to get things a little bit spicy, Saints Jaguars, who do you think scores the first touchdown in that game?
Interesting. Saints Jaguars. Jaguars secondary isn't the best. Saints defense has been solid. ETN has been an absolute menace so far this season. However, I think the surprise answer is going to be Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas gets into the end zone for the first time this season. He's the first scorer.
I'm going to go ETN scores the first touchdown for the Jaguars.
I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. The Saints this year have not
thought for sure you're going to go Shaheed.
Oh, I love Shaheed.
Yo, anytime I see Shaheed do anything, John, it's just like an immediate
right to John.
Laser beam John Tortorelli.
Hey, and for as much as y'all troll me, Devin Duvernay this last week. But no, in all seriousness.
Oh, Christ alive. You went 1 for 2.
I've really struggled.
This was a moment for you to really be like, yeah, that's my guy. Raheed Shaheed.
He is my guy. The Saints this year still struggle in the red zone. I think some of that's with Derek Carr, obviously. And when we look at what works best for the Chargers offense, it's playing quick with the tempo and getting Christian Kirk going first down. I think he's been, for all the expectations we set on Calvin Ridley this year, the Jaguars' most reliable weapon. And I want to give him some love.
Somebody picked. I'm in a sleeper draft for NBA, and somebody picked Tyrese Halliburton as a 4th pick.
Ball nowhere.
That's a good pick, bro. In fantasy basketball.
Yeah.
He's going to get assists. He's going to have amazing 3-point percentage. He's going to have amazing field goal percentage. He's going to score points. If you were locked in on fantasy basketball, you'd know that's a
Devin Booker was sitting right there.
He's going to play more games than D-Book. That's probably the right pick.
SGA was sitting right there.
John.
SGA was sitting right there. I got SGA. It's up. Oh my god.
First touchdown scorer. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram. He's plus 1,129 odds. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram. I'm gonna go with the tight end. I'm gonna go with a long shot here. And if you use first touchdowns across 4 games to get all 4 right, you can win $100,000. Gonna do some player props here now. Passing props.
Joel,
they only have
real quick before are you allowed to say who you think is going to score first or no?
No.
Oh my God.
I was under the assumption. So passing props, they only have Derek Carr. Which ones do you like? Derek Carr over 243.5 yards, Derek Carr over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Are you going to go over or under on any of these two?
It doesn't seem like Bro can get into the end zone, but if there was ever a week for him to score touchdowns, it would be against this Jacksonville secondary. The defense has been really good though. So let me not sound like I'm beating up on them because obviously they've been really good. But Derek Carr just doesn't get into the end zone. So I'm feeling under 1.5 touchdowns. And I just hate going under because whenever a person has a blow-up game, you look dumb. But Derek Carr seemingly has had issues scoring touchdowns this season.
Riv. I'm trying to pull up these defense stats for the Jags.
Over under, Riv. 240.
I'm in the draft.
In.
I'm in the draft. My bad. I'm in the draft. Go ahead.
Over under Derek Carr passing yards and passing touchdowns. Are you going to take it? Stay away from it. The passing yard line is 243.5. The touchdown is 1.5.
Staying away.
For the rushing props, we have Travis Etienne at 62.5 rushing yards and Alvin Kamara at 53.5 rushing yards.
Both good run defenses. I feel like the opportunity is going to be there for ETN just because of how much of a workhorse he has been for the Jaguars so far this season. I'm going to go over on ETN. You said 62.5, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel confident in that one. He's been pretty great so far this season. He's been probably their best weapon so far this year as well. I'm going to trust Travis here.
It's tough because ETN's only hit 63 in half of his games so far this year, and the Saints' defensive front's been better this year than I expected. I'm going to take the under here on Travis Etienne yards, and then I'm going to go with the Alvin Kamara over. I'm not touching it.
Last week, Alvin Kamara hit his over for me. I'm going to trust him again this week. Thursday Night Football, over 53.5 rushing yards. I got Alvin Kamara hitting that line.
No, this shit just made me auto pick Evan Mobley.
Why is auto pick on, bro?
I don't know. I'm on the app and this shit auto picked me Evan Mobley.
Turn it off.
I did, and it turned back on. Bro, it's the second round. I'm not picking Evan Mobley in the second round.
No, bro, what you should do is tell them, yo, that was an auto pick.
I did, and they're not listening. I'm done with the app. I'm not playing this shit no more.
I'm crying. I respect it.
I'm not playing.
Mojo props.
What was the prop, man?
Chris Olave has gone over of 64.5. What are you guys taking?
I like that. Olave had a good week last week. This secondary, like I said, definitely forgiving. I could lean over here.
Dehls, you know my answer, man. Over.
It's always over.
Always over, baby. I had a good week last week, man. We're gonna smash the over.
Chris Olave, his line is intriguing, but you know what? I'm gonna take Rashid Shaheed over 37.5 receiving yards. He could hit that with one reception. Oh, so I'm going Rashid Shaheed.
Actually, bro, let me be smart here. What's Michael Thomas's over under? Do we have Michael Thomas's over under?
We do not.
Alvin Kamara, what we got? Okay. Talk to me.
Alvin Kamara's receiving is 31.5.
Give me it over.
That's not bad.
If you would have said 50, would you have said over?
Yes.
So far through 3 weeks, he's only got 33, 17, 36.
We're here. It doesn't matter. Break again.
He had 13 receptions versus the Buccaneers.
He was getting the reps. He's fully integrated now. Stop.
For me, the 3 props I'm going with Rashid Shaheed over 37.5 receiving yards, Alvin Kamara over 53.5 rushing yards, and I'm going to go Derek Carr over 243.5 passing yards against this Jaguar secondary.
I'll hit the over on Derek Carr.
I like them and hate them.
I'll take the over on Derek Carr yards and then the under on Travis Etienne. at 63.5.
I'm going to go under on Derek Carr's touchdowns of 1.5. I'm going to go over on Travis Etienne's yards because he's been cooking regardless of the Saints' run defense and just defense as a whole. And I'm going to go with Olave over because that Jacksonville secondary is one that Olave can do his thing with.
And your boy is going to go over on the Chris Olave receiving yards. And, of course, got to go over on the Alvin Kamara receiving yards because I'm an over merchant, man. I don't play the under games.
Make sure you guys download Mojo Fantasy. Link is in our bio below. Use code PAS. We'll have the QR code up here as well. Tua Tagovailoa. Dolphins are playing well. They're 5-1. He's having a great start again, like last season. Is he running away with the MVP? We got Drew wearing a Tua jersey. Drew,
Miami beat a good team challenge.
Are you going to surprise me? Are you going to shock me?
No, not going to surprise you. Not going to surprise anyone. This is my pride and joy. This is the man who makes watching football enjoyable. He's amazing. He's nothing short of sensational. Yes, this is the runaway MVP. This is that time of the show where we talk about Tua. I open up X and I read a laundry list of stats because that's just how great he is. In the following statistics, Tua Tagovailoa is first in passing yards per attempt, passing touchdowns, passer rating. He's also first in 20-plus yard completions. And the percentage of passes that he has beyond the sticks, he's also number one. I would be sleeping too if I was Joel because of the disgusting things that he's said on his name. And that's his fault. That has nothing to do with me. The guy's irresponsible. He knows that he goes to sleep and he has nightmares of Tua Tagovailoa not only just winning MVP, but lifting up that Lombardi at the end of the season because he told me he wasn't a starting level quarterback. He told me that Tua Tagovailoa was one of the worst passers in the league. So it's great to see him having the success that he's having. So for him to be the top candidate for the MVP is absolutely amazing. And it allows me to sleep very well at night knowing that Joel was wrong yet again on another football player.
Oh, Tua's 3-0 versus the Jets too.
Hey, Dehls, Miami beat a good team challenge. Have they done it yet?
Yeah.
The
Chargers are mid. Chargers
They're
are
so fucking mid.
Chargers are average, maybe a bit above.
You know what though? Justin Herbert this year has had an MVP caliber season. Tua outplayed him with 466 passing yards. And you obviously listed out all of the stats Tua leads. You know, whenever I open Football Reference and I look at Tua, it's just bold across the board. And I think we tend to overthink things a bit. And it reminds me a bit of Phillip Rivers in the early 2000s. He becomes the Chargers starting quarterback in 2006. LaDainian Tomlinson wins MVP. He's also got Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, all-pro or a Pro Bowl wide receiver, and Lorenzo Neal, a all-pro fullback. And through those years, sure, we acknowledge LT, just like Tyreek Hill, is a generational type player, but the quarterback is the one setting up these weapons, notably Tyreek yards to catch opportunities. And is Tua the runaway MVP? I think it's quite clear right now. There's no one that's had as productive a season.
John, was that the same year LT had 27 touchdowns?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a couple receiving.
Yeah, you lost me with that. I'll be honest. 31 touchdowns is nuts.
31 touchdowns is insane.
Yeah. That was probably a bad example.
I don't know if we'll ever see it again.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know if that was the one to use.
No, there's no way.
I mean, Tyreek right now is on pace for 2,000 yards as a receiver. The point is, we don't take it away from Phillip Rivers. We say he's a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback when it's all said and done. And with Tua, I think people tend to discount him because he's got great weapons, but he is the one amplifying this rushing attack with his anticipation and just general feel as a pocket passer. And so I feel like with Phillip, we don't tend to discount him for the weapons. And that's the only way you could demerit Tua in this case.
You know, John.
Riv, to be fair, Tyreek is on pace for a historic ass
2,200 yards.
Listen,
yeah.
we were supposed to see a generational wide receiver duo, like a wide receiver matchup between Jettas and Reek for 2,000 yards. Yeah. And unfortunately, the football gods fucked us. They fucked us bad. They robbed us of a great matchup because they were on pace to do some funny fire shit. But John, I agree with you. Because there's another guy in San Fran that they like to knock because he has all these weapons and this, that, and the third. And he does amazing shit at the quarterback position. So I'm not going to knock Tua because as much as Tyreek has been historic over the first 5-6 weeks, as much as he's been, one of the greatest safety blankets we've ever seen. And of course, you need that number one guy. Everybody has it. Josh Allen has Diggs. Jalen Hurts has AJ Brown.
Holmes has
Joe Burrow
Kelsey.
has
He had Tyreek. Unfortunately, Herb. Even right now, Keenan Allen's been hooping. Dak got CD. But you still got to give Tua because he still has to
There's
be
an
the
imposter.
Tua has to be the one to execute those plays. He has to be one to put the ball on the money, make the right decision. And Waddle hasn't even got it going for real. Like when Waddle starts getting it going for real, I just think, the MVP, the one thing that will, like, all joking aside, the one thing that will hold Tua back is, he hasn't really played any competition at the moment. He did play the Chargers, who as of right now, I think we could look at the Chargers as kind of a meh team. Like, they're not great. They're not bad. They're just kind of stuck in the middle. The one opportunity he did have to kind of put his MVP case in the vault is kind of the game that Josh Allen pumped his MVP case up when they played Buffalo in Buffalo. But I think he'll have another opportunity this week against Philadelphia. He goes out there, he outplays Jalen Hurts. He'll keep him going. The numbers are going to be there, like Drew mentioned. He's going to have the numbers. But, the thing about the MVP with the numbers is also about that winning and about, of course, who did you match up with that year to kind of put on a historic performance? And I think Tua will have the opportunity this year to really put on some performances against some other court, not like one-on-one, but, put on some performances. And I think you got to keep him in that conversation. I think Josh Allen, after the Giants game, you kind of put him down a little bit for sure. I think Mahomes is always going to be in that conversation. Of course, Herbert, if he would have won that game, he probably would have put him up a little bit more, but now he's probably not in the conversation as much. I think Tua is probably the number one guy at the moment. CMC is in the conversation, but he's probably might not play this week. But Tua's definitely been the most consistent. Lamar is obviously up there too. He's having an underrated elite season also.
Riv, just stop.
No,
man.
I'm serious. You got to think about these other quarterbacks, man. You can't just. But Tua's one for me for sure right now. But like I said, you got to think about these other guys because these other guys are doing a lot of good stuff right now, man.
They are hooping.
Tua is number one.
You
Sorry,
think
go
Tua's
ahead,
number
Joel.
one, Dehls?
Go ahead.
MVP talks after week 6 are funny because it's so
Really?
volatile.
This is the guy that comes up with the topic list.
I used it from Dehls. This was Dehls' topic.
Oh,
Dehls
damn,
put it
Joel.
in, and I said we're gonna use this one. Because the MVP rankings week to week are so volatile. The Dolphins this year have faced teams with a combined record of 7-26. Not great competition per se, really not great competition at all. They've been facing bottom dwellers in the league outside of Buffalo, and they got smoked by Buffalo. Really, that's really it. But this is a story, and this happened last year. Week 2, Drew comes victory lapping with his black notebook. Is week 6, he's MVP, he's a front runner, all this. We know what's going to happen in the tougher stretches of
I've heard
games.
this before.
We know,
I've
and
heard this
you
before.
heard it before, and I was right. So
Were
how
you?
about you mention that? Yes, I was
Were
right.
you?
How was he against the Chargers? Oh, he was terrible.
But what did he do coming back this season?
I don't care. I care about the second half of the season. We know Tua's the first half of the season merchant.
Really? But
we
going
know that.
against the same team,
We know
he
that.
goes and absolutely embarrasses that
you
defense.
you were allowed to adjust, and the defense made no adjustments to your adjustment.
That's on them.
I would
That's
think that
that's the
you
game
had
of
a great
football.
game.
That's the game of football.
We know what's going to happen. And this is a trend with Tua. We know the type of quarterback he is. I think it's funny how Jared Goff gets labeled this system quarterback, but we don't use that same energy for Tua or Brock Purdy. We trying to make these guys seem like they're more than Jared Goff. When Jared Goff has been successful in 2 offensive systems now, he's been more successful than those 2 guys. Jared Goff, Jared Goff's 2 years with the Rams is on par with what Tua's doing right now.
It's a coping for your
Didn't
guy
they
over
score,
there
like,
in
under 10
Cincinnati
points in the
who
Super
hasn't been
Bowl?
able to do a damn
Against
thing
the Patriots
this season.
defense. Has Tua been to a Super Bowl? Has Brock Purdy been to one?
Brock Purdy got hurt.
You can't use the Jared Goff Super Bowl game against them when these guys haven't even been there yet. So listen, Tua, he's shown us what he is. Rookie year, has a chance to go to the playoffs, loses against, who was it? The Buffalo Bills? How many interceptions he threw? 3 or 4? I don't know. I forgot the number. It was a lot, though. Year 2, versus the Titans. Could have went into week 18 with a chance to go to the playoffs. What does he do? He stinks it up. Drew blames it on the rain. Well, grip the ball better. How about you play better in the rain? A great quarterback.
Won 8 in a row up until that.
Joel, you said the same thing about Joe Burrow. You used the rain as an excuse. You cannot do that. Give
The
Tua an
rain-
excuse for that.
No, because
The rain-
Riv,
the
he's been
rain
doing a
was
lot
a
of
part of-
talking on
the
these
rain-
other quarterbacks.
the rain
because
was
this
a
guy over there in Cincinnati has been doing nothing but stinking up the joint.
has
So
Tua
he's
been
got
to
to
a
do
Super Bowl?
something.
Has Tua been to one?
Okay,
Has Tua
let's
been
talk
to an
about
AFC
something that happened
championship
2
yet?
years ago. Let's talk about the present. We live
Has
in
Tua been-
2023.
I mean,
Mr.
you're
Moran.
used. Listen, when we talk about Joe Burrow, it was the injury, it was the defensive line. Listen, all over the place. That performance was awful. I'm not going to defend it. Just like I wouldn't defend Tua's awful performance against Tennessee, but Drew found a way to do it anyway.
I didn't.
Last
do
year,
that.
you know,
I said it was a bad game.
The Dolphins were going to make the playoffs with flying colors. It's unfortunate Tua got hurt at the end of the season and couldn't play in that playoff game against the Bills. But in the second half stretch, everybody's saying this is the stretch where Tua's going to prove himself. He's going to go crazy against these great defenses. He stunk up the joint. He stunk it up. I could smell it right now how bad it smelled. This year,
Played well against the Bills.
I've seen 3 years of the same trend with Tua. So this year, am I just going to crown him MVP after week 6? Listen, is he MVP odds on favorite right now, number one on MVP ladder? Yeah, possibly. I think you can make an argument for a couple other guys.
Like
But Patrick Mahomes. What do you mean? What do you mean? That's Patrick Mahomes. That's Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff is in a conversation right now. If Tua's in a conversation, Jared Goff is in a conversation with how well he's
Who's
playing.
been better?
I would say Jared Goff.
And I would say you're an idiot.
Jared Goff did Jared Goff throw 2 interceptions against the Giants? He didn't.
Really?
Jared Goff ain't throw 2 interceptions against the Giants. The Giants suck.
What did Josh Allen just do against the Giants defense?
He had 1 interception. He ain't throw 2.
What did he do?
What did he do? He won the game. He won the game.
So did Tua.
That's what he did. That's what he
So
did.
did Tua.
So I've seen this trend in the second half of the season. Tua's gonna regress. The Dolphins are gonna regress. They ain't going to the Super Bowl. He ain't holding no Lombardi trophy. That dream you have, Drew, that's
that's
deep,
your nightmare.
Deep sleep.
That's your nightmare.
That's
not my dream. That's your nightmare.
That's your
go to
REM
sleep. And
sleep.
you that night. You wake up, you're in a panic, you're sweating. Oh my God, thank God it's just a nightmare. Because God forbid that's a reality. God forbid that's a reality.
Tua winning the Super Bowl wouldn't even happen in Madden. It's not going to happen in real life.
All right.
And week
We'll
6,
see about that.
Listen, you want to crown Tua, all you want, do it. Name the stats, do all you want. But we know what's going to happen in the second half of the season. He's going to regress. And we're going to sit here, and the same thing's going to happen. And that boy, Patrick Mahomes, is going to continue to play like a god from here on out because that's who he is. And we talking about the Chiefs and in the AFC. The Chiefs are the best team in the AFC right now. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but that's more so because of the defense. And we're talking about Tua here, so I don't want to take anything away from him. The Dolphins defense is ass. And if you want to pin a reason why the Dolphins won't go to the Super Bowl, the defense being ass is by far and away number 1 on my list. Will Tua regress some? Probably. I mean, they're on a historic pace. Is he going to throw for fucking 6,000 yards and they're going to score the most points in NFL history? I don't know. It seems like a long shot.
Why not?
But the defense is the real issue in terms of the Dolphins going far in the playoffs. It's not Tua. But to talk about Tua, whether you look at the raw stats, individual stats, advanced stats, team stats, I'm actually disappointed, Drew, because I didn't look up any stats assuming he was going to cover EPA, passing yards, team stats, everything. So my apologies. But everything you could look at is in favor of Tua running away with MVP right now. And you got to give credit to him because how much he's improved from his rookie year to today with the injuries he sustained, not even thinking about the concussion, but the hip injury he had coming into the NFL to where he is today. He has turned into one of, if not the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. And you got to give him all of the praise in the world for that, especially on those intermediate and deep levels of the field. I'm looking just at PFF's numbers. In terms of the deep right side of the field, he has a 99.9 PFF grade, and the intermediate center of the field, a 95 PFF grade. Now, that's not the end-all be-all. Don't get me wrong. I'm very skeptical of PFF's numbers, but just goes to show you how electric he's been. On the other hand, all of us, at least record-wise, expected the Dolphins to be here. We all of us had them at 5-1 or 4-2.
Raise your hand right now if you had the Dolphins winning the AFC East.
Well, I had them as my overreaction, so I'll raise my hand.
Joel, you're in.
Yeah, I had that as my overreaction. I'm saying coming into the season,
I had the Jets.
Coming into the season, we all had them 5-1 or 4-2. I picked the
And
Chargers.
with Aaron Rodgers,
Other
we
people
should be
picked
5-1 right now.
Wait,
Not
what
wrong.
did you say?
I'm saying come right now, if we looked preseason, right, when we're doing our record predictions, Chargers, Pats, Broncos, Bills, Giants, Panthers, we probably all had the Dolphins 5-1 or 4-2, correct?
Yes, probably.
Yeah. So
Some thought that they would lose to the Chargers.
I have them
There was
5. I have them
some
5-1 for sure.
I had them I had them
No, I
4-2.
lied
I had
because
them
I
losing
picked the
Chargers.
Patriots
Here we
to
go.
beat them. I don't know why I did that shit.
Okay, well, you're an interesting guy. But regardless, we had them at this point, record-wise, to do this. Did we think historic offense? Probably not. That's where you got to give them their credit. But if Tua wants to win MVP, it's not what he's done these past 6 weeks. It's what's ahead of him for these next 10 to 11 weeks. He's got Philly this week. Kansas City is going to be a huge game. Why that game is in London is very irritating. But they got KC, the Jets defense twice, Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills again. They haven't had this type of competition outside of Buffalo yet. So what Tua's done these first 6 weeks are great. But if he turns into an average to an above average quarterback over these next 10 weeks going up against these elite defenses, he's not going to win MVP. And what I'm looking for going forward is how these defenses are going to adjust, right? As the season goes on, tendencies pop up. You have more film on tape to see what they do and do not do well. Right now, just looking at PFF's numbers, Tua is the best quarterback in terms of throwing to the right side of the field. He might be the worst quarterback in terms of throwing to the left side of the field. He right now has a 38 PFF passing grade, only 6 attempts, but only 1 completion. On the other side, the right side of the field, 9 attempts, 7 completions. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw defenses, take away that right side of the field, make it beat him to the left. I do think Tyreek lines up more on the right side. That probably has something to do with it. But I also need to see them not face the worst defenses in the league. I need to see them not go up against the Giants and the Panthers, right, and the Broncos. What's going to happen when they go up against the Jets and when they go up against Baltimore and Buffalo again? Because when the Dolphins have played top defenses, whether it was New England or Buffalo, they shut them down for stretches. Not for the entire game, but for stretches. Like, they still scored 20-plus points. It's not like they went out there and laid an absolute egg. But there were stretches where Miami was punting the ball multiple possessions. They were not able to get into the end zone, not even get into field goal range. So this offense isn't bulletproof. This offense isn't unstoppable. We've seen multiple times this season when you're going up against top 10 defenses, they have been able to get slowed down. So to wrap it all up, Tua still has to do a lot to win MVP. He has to go up and beat top competition because that's his biggest knock right now.
So question, none of us here think Mahomes can win MVP again.
Wait,
Yeah,
who said that?
Of course he can.
I'm just asking everybody here.
I think Mahomes
Tua is
can win
number
again.
1 right now.
I think
Mahomes
Mahomes
is
can
up
win
there.
again.
Even though this offense has not looked like the offense last year, you're right. You put all the stats up on Twitter. It does not matter. He's Mahomes. He's going to be in the discussion for sure.
I think Tua has been great this season. It has to give my props to Tua. I think he's been great. And what you said is facts. What's going to hold them back is the defense, if anything. But it's also the offense if they don't figure it out against top-level competition, because that's been their Achilles heel under the Mike McDaniel era, and he got to figure it out as well. Tua and him, they got to all figure it out. I think the saving grace for this offense, though, is that they finally have a consistent run game they can rely on, which last year wasn't the case. So this year, having that rushing attack is going to make the passing game much easier. They're not one-dimensional.
You're 100% right there. Tua in the last 2 years has had some of the worst rush offenses. His sophomore season, he had a bottom 3 rush offense. Last season, I believe he had a bottom 10 rush offense. So now for it to be this huge 180 where aren't they statistically, are they the number 1 rush offense in football right now?
They might be.
For that to be the case,
Devin A. Chain, baby.
And they have 100 more yards than the next team.
Yeah, bro. They've been unbelievable. 100. They've been unbelievable on both sides, whether it's passing or rushing the football. They're virtually unstoppable. So that's what has boded so well for this offense, that now you essentially don't know what's coming and you can't stop either of them. So that's what makes this offense so unbelievably great.
But yeah, what Joel mentioned though, this defense is atrocious, and I don't think Jalen Ramsey could fix. Like, as great as he is as a player, I don't think he can fix this defense.
He'll help it.
Yeah, he'll turn them from maybe the 28th to the 22nd or something like that, whatever number they are. But like, I think defensively, this unit, And especially in the AFC, like you going up against teams like the Chiefs, who at any moment can explode for an offensive game, against Buffalo, where we've seen that there's not many defenses in the league that can really stop them when they're on go. It's going to be hard. Like, this is the one thing that's holding this team back, because you have a damn near perfect offense. It's just defensively, can you get enough stops where even if your offense can't carry for that game, your defense can get some stops? And that could be the thing that's holding them back. So, Miami's, I don't know. Like, Miami's a difficult team to read because they're offensively, they're amazing, but defensively, they're like the complete opposite. And sometimes you kind of need that hand in hand and kind of win, multiple playoff games. So it's definitely a tough team to read for sure.
This week in the NFL, fellas, what do you got?
I'm here.
I'll start off.
Okay.
Riv. My bad, bro. Usually,
this week came out 3 hours ago. The Eagles signed Julio Jones. Yes,
under 100 receiving yards on the season.
Over 100%.
100%.
I don't know. I was actually confused why we signed him. I thought Quez is cool. I don't know how to say his last name. Zacchaeus. He's all right. He's good too. And then we got Goddard, who's been waking up. Like, he's a beast.
Yes,
but nice for Julio. AJ Brown seemed excited to get big bro. He said big bro. If you tell a man big bro on the social media, that means he's really big bro. Yeah, you got a lot of respect for him.
Bro.
So,
It's Julio.
Shout out to Julio. He getting the big bro tag. So Julio must be coming in. Maybe it can help Smitty wake up. Maybe it can help him get the mental game back in. He lock in. I'm just happy to get some old veterans in there in the wide receiver core to help this offense out, man. So shout out to us. We got Julio.
Can't hurt. So one of the reasons why Miami's offense has been so impressive, not only are they putting up historic numbers, but offenses around the league is some of the worst offensive play we've seen in years. This is from Nate Tice, who works at The Athletic. He does a show weekly. So only 6 weeks in, right? But this is a handful of league average stats. Touchdown percentage is 3.9%, which is the lowest since 2008. Yards per attempt, 6.9, lowest since 2008. Yards per completion, 10.6, lowest ever. Net yards gained per attempt, 5.95, lowest since 2005. QB rating of 88.2, lowest since only 2017. And a sack percentage of 7.2%, highest since 1998. Part of that is because the NFL starting quarterbacks haven't been this young in 60 years. We are seeing the influx of talent at the quarterback position. And part of the reason why we're seeing some ugly offenses, even though it feels like this is an offensive league, is because all of these new quarterbacks are trying to get adjusted to the NFL. You got new play callers. You got all these new offensive coaches becoming head coaches. So the offense in general is about as bad as we've seen it in the last 15 years. That just goes to show you how insane Miami has been.
So I decided that I wanted to do something special for this week in the NFL. A little blind stats reaction.
Boom.
I'm going to read some stats.
You're probably doing your job.
Player A, player B. Here we go. Player A, 1,500 passing yards, 9 touchdowns. Player B, 1,300 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Who would you rather have, and who is who?
I know exactly who they are. I know exactly, and I'm taking the 9 touchdown guy by far.
9 touchdown guy. All
easily.
Right. Anyone else?
Yeah. I know exactly who they are too.
All right. Player A. Joel, I'm waiting for you to guess, bro.
My God. I feel like one of them is Mahomes.
I feel like it's Mahomes and Tua or some shit.
No, it's not.
Nah, it's definitely not Tua. It's definitely not Tua. I'm trying to think about who it is. You said 6 passing touchdowns this year.
Can I say it? Can I say it, please?
Others said no.
Yeah.
It's Sam Howell and Jordan Love, bro.
Oh, it is Sam Howell, but it's Dak Prescott. Now, I need to go somewhere a little bit more upper echelon just to kind of emphasize that
stinks.
Maybe that Dak has just not been as good as, what we were expecting. But Sam putting himself in that conversation in terms of statistically, because eye test, of course, still has to work on his footwork. He's still the most sacked quarterback in the National Football League. That goes hand in hand with a bad offensive line and a bad pocket presence. But right now has more completions than Tua and Jared Goff, more passing yards than Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. He has more passing touchdowns than Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford. I'm not saying this kid is a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying he's even a top 15 quarterback. All I'm saying is he is a lot better than what was anticipated. A lot of the hype coming with Sam Howell. He's showing that it was not for nothing. Eric Bieniemy also deserves a lot of credit in this as well, throwing himself where he should have been in the conversation to be a head coach years ago, proves that he's not just a Patrick Mahomes merchant. He's doing a very fine job over here in Washington with this offense and Sam Howell.
I'm glad I didn't say a name. I'm glad I didn't pick because, my God, that would have been atrocious. Sam Howell, 3 Mickey Mouse touchdowns against the Falcons this past
What do you
weekend.
mean? What do you mean?
They were Mickey Mouse.
So here's the thing. Unless you're an upper echelon quarterback, you're not allowed to have yak. Is that what it is?
It wasn't
Because
yak.
the Chiefs were number one in yak last year. No one cared. San
First-
Francisco's number one in yak this season. No one cares.
It's not about yak. The first touchdown was a rollout to Antonio Gibson, wide open in the flat on the 1 yard line.
It was a 1 yard pass. It's a touchdown.
Yo,
And it was a defense. He had
What's up, Riv?
150 yards.
Josh Allen had a similar
I
play
want you to
against the
know,
Giants.
Justin Fields has more touchdowns than everybody he just said.
Yeah, Justin Fields does have
And
hella
he played like
touchdowns.
shit for 3 straight weeks.
And Russell Wilson has more touchdowns than everybody else as well.
Yeah,
Oh, come on.
just
We don't
want you
got to
know
talk
that.
about Russ. We don't got to talk about Russ.
Just,
It's
hey
just
man,
sad.
If
we
Russ
was
was
on
on
our
the
way.
Jets, you guys would be going to the Super Bowl.
If Russ was on the Jets, I'd kill
bar so low.
myself.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn.
Now, I want to.
Oh my god.
A question came up on my Twitter timeline, and this isn't my this week in the NFL.
Is it my tweet?
It's not your tweet, and you
Oh.
know my this week in the NFL is actually what you were going to mention. Well, what you mentioned about Nate Tice, but you know I had a backup.
sorry.
You know my back pocket. Is Russell Wilson hurting his Hall of Fame case by his last 2 years in Denver?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. What he did in Seattle it's cemented, man. It's locked. Nobody's
I
gonna
think,
take
you
that
know,
away
I
from
think
him.
there's a part in your career when you get to a level that you can have separate Hall of Fame careers or like separate careers. So I think Seattle, you put Russell in a box, and that's Russell Seattle. He's a Hall of Famer. I think what he does in Denver, whether it be good or bad, if it's good, it can uplift him and he can have 2 separate careers. And if it's bad, they'll just say Russell Wilson in Denver wasn't good, but Seattle Russ is a Hall of Famer.
You know, though, it did feel like he was on the brink. He was 9-time Pro Bowler, no All-Pro teams. And so it does say something when you're that close, and then the last 2 years you've been that underwhelming. I don't know. But this week in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers took a left tackle over the New York Jets, trade up to get him and Broderick Jones, moved up to pick 14. He played very well versus the Ravens in his first debut. He gave 0 sacks. Dan Moore Jr., though, the 4th-round pick who started for Pittsburgh the last 3 years, came back to practice after a sprained MCL. And while there's been a lot of Mike Tomlin criticism this year, the main brunt of it has been for a very good Steelers draft class, which could potentially turn around this team, maybe take them up a level. They have not unlocked the door for all of these guys that have been Joey Porter, Keanu Benson, and if Broderick Jones didn't start this upcoming week, I'm going to be very upset because it makes 0 sense.
Did you draft an offensive coordinator?
You think they're going to fire Matt Canada mid-season? But what it really does seem like, Dan Moore may not be healthy anyways. He was just getting first-team reps in practice. And yes, I'll insufferably sit through 11 more weeks of Matt Canada.
Deontay Johnson, back this
He's
week.
back.
Huge
Or
news.
if they have him. It's unfortunately runs 3 routes in this offense, though.
3 routes in the offense. That's hilarious. We're about to do a blind reaction. Gonna do a wide receiver style. These are 2 great, gonna be Hall of Fame wide receivers. Blonde Rakin, wide receiver, playoff Super Bowl run additions. First wide receiver had 33 receptions, 478 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 4 games. Second wide receiver in 4 games had 30 receptions, 546 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
Second guy.
One Larry Fitzgerald.
One of them is Larry
One
Fitzgerald.
is Jettis.
No.
Playoffs.
4
Oh,
games,
yeah.
bro.
I didn't hear the playoffs. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. We had this conversation. Fuck,
we did.
man. I know
Is
who
the other one Cooper
guy
Kupp?
is. Yes.
The other one is Cooper Kupp.
I took the second guy.
Cooper Kupp is the first one at 478 yards. Larry Fitzgerald is the one at over 500 with 7 touchdowns.
What year was that? That was the Super Bowl
That was
year?
that was the Steelers
2009.
Super Bowl. Mhm.
That was
Fire.
2009.
I like
Super
that.
Bowl.
That's great stats. Dope.
Revis
Fire.
would have locked him up.
I will say this, and the unfortunate part of it is that Larry should have had the signature moment of that Super Bowl, the breakaway touchdown, walk away with the Super Bowl MVP, walks away with one of the greatest postseason runs that we've seen from a wide receiver. The adverse side of it is Cooper Kupp did all of that, but wrapped it up with the Super Bowl ring and the game-winning touchdown. So the stats alone, of course, they lean with Larry, but just completing a story on top of completing an unbelievable season. Offensive, did he not win Offensive Player of the Year either? Or he
bro,
was.
He won Offensive Player of the Year.
All right,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
Triple
sure. Yes,
crown.
the wide
Yeah, he won
receiver
it for
triple
sure.
crown, goes on Super Bowl MVP,
That's
game-winning
arguably
touchdown.
the greatest wide receiver year
No,
ever.
it's not arguable. Number
Wow.
one by
thought-
itself, Cooper Kupp. Yeah.
I had to think because Randy Moss could have had a year. Jerry Rice could have had a year.
Randy
Calvin
Moss had
Johnson.
the 23
Yeah,
touchdowns.
you know,
for
you
sure.
gotta
He
you
was-
gotta just, you feel me?
So Cup had 6 touchdowns. So the player A I was mentioning had 6 touchdowns, not 4. I mentioned 4 before, but yeah, it was 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, Cooper
Larry
was
Fitzgerald had
incredible.
1 more touchdown and almost 100 more receiving yards in his run.
Shout out to Larry, man.
Larry
Shout out to the
legend.
Rams 2008 defense.
Jettis clears.
The NFL trade deadline is approaching, and some big names might get traded. We'll see who does, who doesn't. We'll start it off with Drew because his team is having a garage sale. Come get Garrett Bowles. Come get Judy. Come get Sutton. Come get K'Wan Williams. Come get Samaje Perine. I mean, you guys are having a garage sale. Maybe Pastor 10. He's that guy that he's not being shown with all the items, but he's in the back. You got to ask. You got to really ask for Pastor 10. You got to come with a juicy offer for the Broncos to give him up. Josie Jewell, I didn't mention him. He's up for grabs. I mean, Drew, which of these Broncos players do you think will get traded and where do you think they land?
Anyone but Judy and Bonito are available. Excuse me, not Judy. I'm sorry, Pat Surtain. Anyone but Pat Surtain and Bonito are attainable by trade. Absolutely, no doubt. It's been unfortunate what has transpired with the Denver Broncos. See, I'm wearing my Tua jersey, but of course, you know I keep it on me. Always, 100%. That being said, Pat Surtain's not going anywhere. I don't really have any other ties. Justin Simmons, of course, I think that he's one of the leaders in the locker room. I would hate to see him traded, but would understand. He's a great player. We can get some nice draft capital off that. Pat Surtain should not go anywhere. It is almost impossible to find a player of his caliber. There's actually no other player outside of, I'll respect the Sauce Gardner, that is anywhere near his level. So I don't even want to entertain that idea. But absolutely, other than that, anyone can go. Judy, unfortunately, can. He's been wildly disappointing. After that, the debacle between him and Steve Smith, he could have put all that to the side with a great game against Kansas City, and he simply did not. He basically was a non-factor. Cortland Sutton kind of stings because he has been injured like a Jerry Jeudy. But when he's been on the field, he just lacks explosiveness, can't separate. But he has been pretty touchdown reliable so far this season. He has a good amount of touchdowns. But end of the day, that's not going to move the needle for us. We need to make moves that can get us in a position to win for the future. So anyone can go. But believing that this topic was about the broad spectrum of the trade deadline, Chase Young was one of the first names that came to mind. With the Washington Commanders being one of the worst defenses in National Football League, had a solid performance against the Falcons, you could say, but even still, Desmond Ridder was pretty solid until the end of the game where he was just throwing the ball all over the place and turning it over. But Chase Young's been great, has been getting to the quarterback. He's one of the league leaders in pressures, and that's with him missing a good amount of weeks so far to start this season as well. They did not pick up his 5th-year option, so it's one of those situations where you look at that. Are the Commanders going to go out of their way to extend this guy? On top of understanding that they missed the boat on getting him on a better one-year extension type deal, and then worry about that contract because there's other needs obviously that they have to fill. Talking about the Commanders, Emmanuel Forbes, 0% of snaps logged last game against the Falcons.
Got benched. Yeah.
That is fucking insane. A player that was taking over Christian Gonzalez, 0 snaps.
That was
now. Chase Young's definitely the one player that comes to mind of big name, superstar type potential in Chase Young, unbelievable output that I don't know if Washington has him in their long-term plans like they once did.
He's still just 24 years old too.
I think a great
Feels like he's
destination.
been in the league forever.
Yeah, it does. I think a great destination for Chase Young would be the Ravens. We mentioned that on the BR stream. I think they could use some pass rushing juice. And if they want to extend him long term, they can after this year. I feel like he'd be a great fit with Baltimore.
How was the BR stream, by the way? I forgot to ask you guys.
It was good. We had plenty
it
to
went by
talk about.
fast. Yeah,
we plenty to talk
there was
about.
a lot of players. I have like 10 players here that I
Can you
think.
not name anybody from Minnesota?
I haven't. I won't.
Jealous.
I have 3 trades that I'd like to see. 3 trades I want to see happen before the trade deadline. 3 of them are realistic. One of them is a fantasy. Number 1, I think it's realistic. Ryan Tannehill getting traded to the Atlanta Falcons. After this year, he's an unrestricted free agent. Reunite Arthur Smith with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill had his best quarterback seasons with Arthur Smith. I think that that'd be a great fit, and they wouldn't have to give up much to get him. And if the Falcons want to go on a playoff run, they need to get a quarterback, and I think that could be Ryan Tannehill. Other name, Hunter Renfrow to the Dallas Cowboys. He has not been used at all by the Raiders. He logged less than 20% of snaps in week 6. The Cowboys can use a slot receiver. And I view Hunter Renfrow in a similar lens as a Cole Beasley. We all know how much Dak Prescott loved Cole Beasley. I feel like if Renfrow goes to the Cowboys, that can be a security blanket for Dak on crucial downs. And then the last player I have is Jeremy Chin going to the 49ers. Steve Wilkes is a defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Last year, he was a defensive coordinator and intern head coach for the Panthers. Jeremy Chin played well, and I feel like the 49ers on the defensive side, the one Achilles heel is their rush defense. Jeremy Chin can help out. He's another linebacker basically on the field, even though he's labeled a safety, but he plays in a box a lot. I think Jeremy Chin can really help bolster the run defense. And the fantasy one is Pat Surtain, not to the Cowboys, Drew, but to the Lions. I think Pat Surtain going to the Lions can give them that true number 1 lockdown corner that can put them with the 49ers in true contention in the NFC.
The one spot they could go to, right, Drew?
They're the best team in the NFL. I'll tell you what, you could have said any other team. I'd have been like, no. You said the Lions.
Bro,
what if the Lions offer you, Drew?
Bro has a Lions agenda now. This shit's sick.
Now?
Not you. I'm talking about your boy to your right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'm talking about your boy to your right.
Hold up. While I wasn't high on the Lions coming into the season, I still had them making the playoffs, just not had them not winning the NFC North.
I know.
But I've been loving what the Lions have been building for the last 2 years.
Worst team. Yeah, you said that like 7 years ago.
I've been loving what the Lions have been building. Now, listen, Riv. You want to front run the 49ers, even though you're an Eagles fan. Now listen.
49ers fan.
It ain't often where me and Drew are on the same side. No. But you know what? If it means take down the Eagles and the 49ers,
got them.
It's one pride, baby. It's one pride.
John.
Throw up your ones, boy.
John, let me ask you a question. John, you seem like in terms of this football stuff, you're very unbiased. John, let me ask you a question. Is it who's worse? Front running Mahomes or Burrow, or a guy front running Brock fucking Purdy? Which one is worse?
49ers.
Hold on. Because Joel did this to me, and I'm not going to expose you like that. But
he's pissed.
Yes, when you are rooting for the Chiefs, Bengals, and Cowboys, that would be considered front running. It's a whole lot worse than defending Brock Purdy.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
What'd he do to you, John?
Expose him.
What happened was I'm a big Nikola Jokic fan. I like basketball. And I like
Die hard.
And I was called out for being a Nuggets, Suns, and Mavericks fan.
You 100% were.
And the reasoning was
now you're rooting for the Bucks.
In the NFL, we don't know who the top dogs are. But in the NBA, we always know who the top dogs are. Because the Miami Heat and AC went to the finals, while on the other side of the bracket, the Nuggets did. So it's quite clear we never know. But I was called out for saying that in the NFL, you know who the top dogs are. Or sorry,
for the most part.
Way around. You don't know who the top dogs are.
You know the top quarterbacks.
You know the top quarterbacks. But y'all acting like I'm hopping on a Bengals train when they just became good.
No, you hopped on a top 3 pick in the Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God.
Joe Burrow tore his ACL his rookie season, and there was big question marks about how he was going to return.
Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. It's 7 rounds.
Dehls even said that he didn't.
With his friend in an apartment.
Dehls even said that San Francisco is very expensive. Dehls even said that he didn't know Joe Burrow had the talent to be a top 5 quarterback. I was one of the people that said he could be an elite quarterback. Wasn't you, Riv? I have
I never spoke about this shit.
I have a Joe Burrow LSU
Yeah,
card
lucky
dating
for
back
you,
to
Riv.
college.
You weren't on the show then.
I have Patrick Mahomes in 2019 tweet. The Chiefs use my voice to read off Mahomes' accolades. They
And you know
haven't
what?
used your voice for nothing, Brock Purdy.
And you
I
know
don't want
what,
to hear it.
Joel? Shout out to you for that because you are the biggest Mahomes glazer
All the way up and down the line.
So, like, shout out to
That's
you for that. And I hope one day they do use my voice in the Brock Purdy documentary when he eventually
beautiful
gets
voice.
one
Sure.
because he deserves it. Last pick in the draft, he wasn't a top 5 pick. He didn't go to LSU. He didn't play with the 2 best wide receiver duos in college. He didn't do all that. So, shout out to him.
Team, bro. You are most likely going to see the 49ers in the playoffs.
And I will root for the Eagles to win, but Purdy to play fucking amazing.
With the Jets, I would never say, oh, yeah, we
Really?
lose. But if we lose to this certain team, it's a win for me. If the Jets lose, they lose. I'm going to be heartbroken
You
if they
told
lose.
us that. You told us.
You wouldn't be
No,
that.
Drew.
I'd be butthurt.
Drew,
What are you
let's
talking
not
about?
debunk all that. You told us to our face that because the fans were treating Zach Wilson like shit, you would drop the team. That's stop.
It was
Enough
unfair.
is-
It was
enough
unfair.
is enough.
It was unfair.
Stop saying that,
It was
bro.
unfair.
You almost dropped the fan base for one of the biggest busts we've ever seen in life. Think
Look
about
how he's
that.
playing right now. Look how he's playing right now. You
He's
know who's
playing okay.
defending him? Chris Jones, one of
Did
the
you
best
even-
defensive players in the league.
That was tough.
The way fans treated Zach Wilson was out of line.
You almost,
Yes.
you almost dropped your diehard fan base for him.
The fan base I was annoyed at because they treated Zach Wilson horribly.
Uh-huh.
He should have never. We had a winning record with Zach. He should have never been benched.
How you sound?
He should have never been benched. Versus the Lions, he gave us a chance to win. Everybody's acting like he was garbage. He gave
They
us a
forget
chance.
that. They forget that one.
Yes,
They
they
do.
forget those. Everything Zach and my only thing was they was propping up Mike White like he was fucking Peyton Manning. That's my thing. You had
What
Dehls
Zach is
turning.
doing now is basically what Mike White was doing.
You had Dehls turning red in the face about Mike White not going 0-5. Like they
shouldn't
were
happened.
treating Mike White as a god.
Mike
That's
White
what
got
me
hurt.
Annoyed about the Jets.
Mike White got hurt, and we had to play Zach.
Didn't Zach get benched for Strevler?
Yes.
I was there.
And that was
In the rain.
unfair. That was unfair because Zach hits that pass to Uzama. He does.
Oh God, maybe.
I guess we'll never know.
I'll go on to my trades. I have 2, both from the same team, and both going to teams in the NFC North. So the New York Giants are probably one of, if not the biggest disappointment in football right now. 1-5. There is very little light at the end of the tunnel for this Giants team that we thought would, at the minimum, be competitive. I had them as a 9-win team sneaking into the wild card, and now they look like they are just a full-on rebuilding team that has a ton of holes. So the first player I think they should move off of is going to be Saquon Barkley. I know Giants fans don't want to hear it. I know that's probably a lot of fans' favorite player. But you got to remember that this front office was hesitant in the first place. They gave him an extension. He signed that weird 1-year contract after declining the franchise tag. And the front office was probably fearful of what exactly happened this season. And that was Saquon Barkley getting injured. He got hurt, missed 3 weeks, came back against Buffalo. So teams are probably looking around saying, all right, Saquon's back. He looked relatively healthy, had a couple explosive runs against Buffalo. We could go and trade probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick. And I'm looking at a team in the AFC North who every single year is decimated by injuries. Every single year, especially at the running back position, decimated by injuries. The Baltimore Ravens need another playmaker on offense. And I think if they get Saquon Barkley, pair him with Lamar Jackson in that backfield, Zay Flowers is improving week by week, Mark Andrews still a top 3 tight end in the NFL, that offense becomes very explosive, and they need another piece to get over the hump and win multiple playoff games and go to the Super Bowl. The other team is the Cincinnati Bengals, who all season we've talked about their offense. We've talked about Joe Burrow, the calf, T. Higgins getting injured, Jamar Chase struggling for the first few weeks. But their defense hasn't been great either, whether it's stopping the pass, stopping the run. They're an average to below average team in almost every metric you're going to look at. The Giants have Leonard Williams, who's going to turn 30 years old on the last year of his deal. Probably not going to extend him because you already have Dexter Lawrence, who's a top 5 interior defensive lineman in the league. And for a rebuilding team to pay 2 interior defensive linemen probably isn't the best use of your resources. So you could probably get Leonard Williams for less than Saquon, that's for sure. You could probably throw a day 3 pick, a 4th, 5th round pick and get Leonard Williams. Need to beef up that interior defensive line. So those are the 2 moves I'd like to see.
Here we go. I'm here. So obviously my dream scenario is Jetta's getting traded. I just think his time is up in Minnesota. It's time to go. But I got Daniel. How you say his first name? Daniel.
Daniel Hunter.
Daniel, thank you, Joel. You always help me with all that, and I appreciate you. That you're really my brother. Daniel Hunter to Seattle. I think a team. I did all that extra shit, right? I think a team like Seattle needs some grunt work in the trenches on defense. I think they could have made that move in the draft. But I think Hunter would have definitely helped. Like, he's been really good. He's one of the few bright spots from Minnesota, who hasn't had a lot of bright spots, but I think he's definitely on defense been one of their best players, if not their best player. And I think for a team like Seattle, who's in the playoff hunt, pushing for a spot in the playoffs, they can win a playoff game depending on who they play. I think a guy like him will help them. Another guy I have is Brian Burns to the Colts. Apparently Stewart just got hurt, so that's going to be a big loss. And then, of course, Anthony Richardson has been ruled out for the year. That's sad. Gardner Minshew has played well in his little spots, with the team. He's looked nice. Last game wasn't great, but times before was solid. But I think Brian Burns, is still a young player that can give you some great production, could come into a Colts team that's young. They paid Jonathan Taylor. They got their quarterback in AR. Why not see what you could do by bringing in somebody who's still only 24 to 25 years old, can give you some great production, is a really good player, just gets overshadowed because he plays in Carolina. And then my last one is Adoree Jackson. Like you mentioned with the Giants, Adoree Jackson to Buffalo. Elam sucks. Elam's whatever. I don't know what is. They target him every time he is on the field. And it's bad when the Giants are targeting you and they're getting them. They're hitting their marks. So the Giants receivers are not good. And Elam, he just was not good. And the Buffalo Bills, in order for this team to stay in contention, in order for this team to still have a chance in the playoffs, they need to beef up that secondary. Hyde and Poyer, they're getting older in age. Von Miller looks like he's probably regressed a little bit. He hasn't had the same impact. Russo, Oliver, they're solid players, but they just lost Matt Milano. They need to make a move at the deadline. They need to stop being cheap, and they need to find a way to bring in another guy. The offense isn't the problem, but defense is going to be an issue, and they need to bring in a guy like Adoree Jackson.
The tough thing about that defense, too, is that it can't stay healthy. So if you can just stockpile as much veteran depth as you can, it's going to be a big difference. One team I like for Adoree Jackson is the Jaguars. Get that cornerback Tua to match up alongside Tyson Campbell. It's been really tough to glean a whole lot from this Giants secondary. So many rookies starting, but a change of scenery, I think, could do wonders for Adoree. Daniel Hunter talked about him for a couple of different teams. I look at the job D'Amico Ryan's done with the Texans. You got Will Anderson, a couple of other veterans who have all played well. I think a really dynamic pass rusher in there could take them to a whole different level and maybe really compete for this AFC South ground. And then one last one for me. No, I'm playing. And the graphics terrible. But I like Chase Young to a team like the Ravens, as you point out before.
That was glaze.
What did it say? I didn't even see it. What did it say, John?
I never want to lose that.
Look at this guy, bro.
I'm crying.
Because Chase Young is one of those guys who has a ton of upside. Unfortunately, with that Commanders defense, all the other pieces are kind of larger priorities who have stayed healthy. But a team like Baltimore has been being battered. David Ajabo's on IR, and then Odafe Owe, I think I pronounced that correct. Yeah. He's also injured as well. So Javanian Clowney has been solid for them, but that is not going to be enough. He's, an all right outside linebacker, edge rusher too. So I can see them making some moves on the defense side of the ball too.
Drew, where does Jerry Jeudy need to go to revive his career?
Carolina. Get him to Carolina. Get him to
get him to Buffalo.
A young. That's not a bad option either.
Buffalo.
Honestly, that would be electric. I would love that.
Listen, Dehls, fuck all that. Bring all the help we can get. Come on.
What did you say, Joel? What did you say, Joel?
How much help does this guy need?
I mean, he really doesn't have that much help.
Hey, shout out to Gabe Davis, though. His route running been real solid this year,
He didn't do shit against the Giants.
Nobody did.
No, that's outside of Diggs. And honestly, James Cook, he did his thing. He was pretty efficient on the ground.
I'll be honest, Diggs is crazy. Diggs is so good.
I do like Jeudy to Carolina. I do like Jeudy to Buffalo. I think with Carolina, a young quarterback and Bryce Young, the two can maybe gain some traction together. We see what Adam Thielen's doing over there. He's been pretty amazing statistically. We talk about him religiously on the Fantasy Reaction Show just because of how much volume that he's seeing back-to-back weeks of over double-digit targets. I think he can go to that offense and get enough looks where he can start to become useful in an offense.
Now, John, I have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
Because you came after my manhood just now. What team are you rooting for in the Western Conference?
I just asked him that when we let BR. I just asked him this.
That's funny.
Everybody.
I've told you guys before, NFL I've got a team, NBA I've got players. So who am I rooting for? Jokic, that's my favorite player in the game. And I guess therefore the Nuggets are my team. But I'm not per se a giant Nuggets fan.
And hurry up and say the team.
I love Jokic. I love the
I'm a
fan
Nets
base.
fan.
I'm a Nuggets
I'm a
fan.
John Morant fan. Don't forget that.
All right, John. So you're rooting for the Nuggets in the West, correct?
The Suns too.
Correct.
Don't forget them.
What about the
Some
East?
stuff,
What,
yeah.
what East team are you rooting for, John?
Boston.
East team.
Here we go.
He has
don't have
no
an
East
East
team. He hates
No.
the East.
So Dame
Last year, my
going to the
East team was the
so
was
the,
the
the
Heat.
Bucks having an A+ offseason and Dame going there. That's not your East team. The
Wait,
Bucks
Joel,
not your
Joel.
East team?
His team last year was the Heat. You knew that, Riv?
No, wait, hold on. This guy's done. I thought we were Garland guys, bro. What happened?
I am a Garland guy. What do you mean?
So Cleveland's not your team?
I love Garland. I'm rooting for the Cavaliers. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
you root
if
for
I had to pick a
Denver's your
favorite
I
team
get
in
what's
the East,
going
it'd
on
be
here.
the Magic. Because, again, I love the players and I love the fan base and the overall atmosphere. But like I
This
said,
guy's worse than
Magic
me,
is
man.
I don't-
vibes, man. Orlando
don't-
is vibes. I see your vision.
what Joel's getting at here is that, all right, John, you're a Bucks and Nuggets fan because there's the best teams and the top teams.
You got a
in our
Kobe
rank.
Bryant poster behind you too. You was a Lakers fan back in the day,
No, the first basketball game I ever watched was Game 7 of 2010.
so you got an attachment to the Lakers.
Yeah, he's trying to get you back.
not
John,
quite.
John, just plead the fifth, bro, and let's move on to the next topic.
We ain't playing no fifth. But my favorite basketball documentary was The Last Dance. And I think 4 months later, I'm like, yo, I would love to see Michael Jordan's poster alongside Kobe Bryant. Let's make it happen. That's my background.
Tell him get off your wiener, John.
Do you root for the Suns
Sure.
too? I'm just asking
So
questions.
when the Suns' starting point guard Joel is Isaiah Cannon, I was a diehard Devin Booker fan before he was dropping 70 points in a game versus the Celtics, a meaningless
And
loss
losing.
because he was cherry picking in some. But Devin Booker is my favorite player to the second half of his rookie year. So in 2015, I was a diehard Book fan up until the bubble. And then once 2021 came around, like, I like the Suns team, but they're good now. Like, you can let them scurry away and do their thing. I don't have to necessarily be a Suns fan. I just enjoyed watching them play.
Oh man, be quiet. This guy was rooting for the Suns not too long ago. I
Well,
remember,
yeah, I
John.
support them.
John, why don't you want to
Oh.
root for good teams? There's nothing wrong with rooting. Like
I
you were
have
there
favorite
through the
players,
pain.
but I'm not bandwagon. Come on.
I know, but
You
now
just
it's like
told me you
Devin
rooted for the
Booker's
Suns
amazing.
back then. Listen, I'm gonna
The
tell you
Suns are
something
amazing.
real quick, John.
Yeah, I rooted for the Suns when they lost 65 games a year.
I'm
yeah.
gonna
And,
tell you.
and now
something,
you're like,
John.
I'm out. I don't.
I love watching them, but they're not my favorite team.
I've been initiated into Suns fandom. By default, I'm a Sun. I root for the Suns now. You're not allowed. I don't want to hear nothing
I'll
from
be
you.
honest,
you
that's fucking
initiated
sick.
by
Bro got let in
insertion?
a week ago.
John called the Suns the not. He said that they weren't the best trio in the NBA. He said they were the 5th best trio in the NBA.
Fourth. Behind the
Let's
Celtics,
hear the list.
Bucks,
John,
and
let's hear the
Nuggets.
list.
5 Warriors, 4 Suns, 3 Celtics, 2 Bucks, 1
Are you
Nuggets.
basing it off like
We're the Lakers.
Like, what are you basing it off of? Impact?
Just overall, like,
Contributes to
which
winning?
trio has the least amount of holes, and one of them is durability. So the Suns with 0 stars who play 60 games fall below the Celtics who have 2 20-year-olds that play every
Are you
game.
talking about the Suns right
Um,
now?
Yes.
You cooked. My brother, you cooked. We're here.
Rev, you don't give him that W for
Get
that.
here, John.
Suns, Rev, you a Suns hater too. You gonna see when
100%.
KD
I
when
openly
KD
admit
go crazy against them Warriors. You
Yeah,
gonna
I
see what's
know.
gonna happen.
Stink it up.
When D Book go crazy too.
You know what's I get, this just like it's crazy to me how I get the most shit for rooting
Stop,
for poverty teams.
Riv. Stop.
I do. I
You
get shit for rooting for the
deserve.
Pistons. But this guy is a Denver fan. He has a Memphis fandom. He loves Magic. Like, what are we doing here? He likes
Nah,
the
Riv.
Bucks.
Nah,
What do you
Riv.
mean?
We
The
had
Magic
you
John,
are
had
a
let's just-
34-win team.
let's just
I
get a
root for the
clearer
Magic
path.
when they win 22 games.
I have
Don't
seven- I like
shortchange the
7 bad
audience.
teams.
The audience wants to know where your allegiances lie. So you say you root for players. So what are the players you root for? Therefore,
My-
have your allegiance.
Oh, that's easy. Devin Booker,
The Suns,
Nikola Jokic,
Nuggets,
John Morant.
Grizzlies.
That's like the main 3. And the new inductees for me were Paulo Banchero.
Magic.
And I guess for a 5th, because there's like a decline here, Tyrese Halliburton. I've always
Pacers.
been a fan of
He's
him.
not saying Garland at all. What's going on?
Garland, yeah, I kind of forgot Garland. Him and
And Bam. What
Halliburton,
happened to the
yeah.
Bam love?
I like Bam. He's not my favorite.
He
Wow,
All right.
No, so you're right. Garland and Halliburton are like a 5A, 5B, and those are like my 6 guys.
5A, 5B.
Riv
Six-
should 100% stay out of this conversation when his pin tweet reads, "New year, new pin." These are the teams I would be rooting for and saying us to this season in order. The Warriors, shockingly, the Bulls are number 2. Pistons,
They keep falling, man.
Clippers, Cavaliers,
They're fucking 15 now, probably.
Cavaliers, OKC, Rockets, Jazz, Wizards, Hawks, Heat, Memphis. 2 exclamation points.
And red.
Let's go shock the world.
To be fair, I quoted it and I said, I'm tired of doing this, man. I did say that.
No,
I did.
We need a new tweet
now
for the
he
new
feels
season.
bad for it.
Yeah.
Now he
Because you
feels
cut it
bad
down,
for
right?
it.
Then you cut it down to like
I cut Atlanta.
Oh, he did tweet, "This is my last year of front running."
Yeah, see, come on. There's
You
no
know-
front
Oh
running.
wait,
those
he
teams
said,
are
"I'm
front run,
also
none in the
Lakers
finals."
Nation."
Oh yeah. This year I am.
Damn reddish.
Yeah. I'm here.
The
man.
the
You play
Riv
more than 5 minutes.
20, well, I think it was 2021, the Riv 2021 era when the Bulls had the first half of the season where they were
That was the
great.
greatest year of my life.
It was a
man.
historic era.
Them 30 games was vibes. I was talking like we could beat everybody.
You had Riv telling JC that the Bulls can match up with the Bucks in the playoffs.
But
and
that
beat
was
them.
also when Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso were arguably the best defensive backcourt in basketball.
Yeah, we got smoked in
They
4
got a
games.
game, man. They got
It
a
was,
game.
They
the
got a
most
game without
menacing-
Lonzo. If Lonzo was there, taking it to 7.
Maybe we win it all.
Maybe, maybe, man.
You never know, man. I've missed those days, man. Now we're here though. We have Javon Carter.
Before we
Check.
go on to the top
Legend.
10 power rankings, we're going to do a Would You Rather, and this is going to be on Mr. Brandon Ayuk, who's bursted onto the
Not Brock
scene
Purdy.
in a big way. We'll save Brock Purdy for another day where he has a great game, get the hype going on him a little bit, because after this performance, the hype has kind of died
That's
down.
some real front running shit right there.
Would you rather Brandon Ayuk edition? First name up, Devontae Smith.
Devonta Smith.
I'm still going Smitty.
That's a great question.
I'm going with Brandon Ayuk.
I think Ayuk is better after the catch and more explosive.
Agreed.
I think Smitty's probably the better route runner.
Better
I think
deep
I lean
threat too.
Ayuk.
Don't sleep. Deep threat.
I think
Don't
I lean
sleep.
Ayuk.
Ah, he fell off, Dehls.
God, this
Smitty's
guy's
a dog.
hype beast. This guy's
Ayuk's
a hype
Ayuk's a
beast.
dog.
He fell off. I
Joe's
miss
a
the old
hype
Dehls,
beast,
man.
bro.
I
I
miss
miss
old
the
Dehls.
old
I've-
Dells too.
Ayuk. Listen, y'all don't know about me and Ayuk. We go back.
That's your
I
brother.
saw you and Smitty in the room.
Smitty's
You
my
have
brother.
don't you have a shirt with Smitty on it?
He's done, bro.
I
He's
do. That
done.
shirt's faded though. I had to get rid of it.
Smitty's taken a slight
Wow.
step back, it feels like, from last year. This year, it's been Brandon Ayuk, but out of respect for what Devontae did, last year.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan
I'm
Allen
going
right
with
now.
Keenan Allen.
Same.
I'll go Keenan.
Oh,
It's close.
I think
Keenan
right
Allen's
now,
also better
Keenan,
than Garrett Wilson, by the way, just to let you know. He is.
didn't you change your opinion on him like 5
No, I
times?
said I'd understand if you would lean Garrett because he's younger. Keenan Allen's still one of them ones, and he's obviously doing it this
Garrett's
year.
a better player than Keenan.
Keenan Allen right now is not his best year. I think you've got to go.
He's
Keenan.
31 years old.
He's on pace for like 1,700 yards or 16.
104 yards a game.
Keenan's
Kellen Moore,
having
man.
Keenan's having one of his best seasons this year. He wins in a certain way, and that way has been how he's won for a very long time, even with the diminishing athleticism. Despite the career year, I'm gonna go with Ayuk just because I think as a route runner, he's right up there after the catch, explosiveness. Ayuk
Keenan
has
Allen
a lot
is
of those
one of the
things
best
over
route
him.
runners in the game. Come
So
on,
is
Joel.
Ayuk. So is Ayuk. Next name, T. Higgins.
I would go.
Oh,
Brandon
I'm
Ayuk.
taking Ayuk.
I would go Ayuk as well.
This one it is one of those that T. Higgins before this season was so clear, better than Ayuk, but this year starting to show you that.
Was it clear?
Unfortunately,
Kicking my ass in fantasy.
T
Most
was
people
pretty
were taking
amazing
T.
last year when Jamar went down. He still did a great enough job while to fill those impossible shoes. I'll go with Ayuk out of respect for what he's done this season, and last, of course.
I feel like they
I'm
had
going
similar years
Ayuk.
last year.
Say that one more time.
I feel like they had similar years.
Smitty
last
probably had a
year.
better year. Ayuk put up 1,000, but I think
No, I'm
Smitty
saying
had more.
Higgins.
T.
Higgins
T,
and-
my bad,
yeah,
my bad,
No,
right.
Smitty had
Yeah.
a better year than both of them, but I'm talking about Ayuk and T. I think they had similar years last year.
Probably, yeah. They were both around 1,000, 1,100.
Facts.
CeeDee Lamb.
Oh,
CeeDee Lamb.
I'm still going
Still
CD. 88,
I'm-
baby.
I'm going with CeeDee Lamb.
I'm going with CeeDee Lamb as well.
Thank God.
CD.
I was worried about
I
him.
was scared there for a minute.
DJ Moore.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go DJ Moore.
I got to stay with the path. I'm going DJ, man.
I think DJ is better after the catch. He just has more physicality than
Strong
Ayuk.
as shit.
But I
bro.
think Ayuk is just as good at the catch point. I think Ayuk is a better route runner. He's been one of the best route runners in the league for a while, but the production is just finally matching what his talent has been. I'm gonna go Ayuk here for the consistency.
He is
He's
more
so
consistent.
close.
Is he?
DJ put up
Is he?
230 though. Oh man, he's on his best year because of
I
that
don't
game.
know, man.
I feel like last year, outside of last year, DJ's been one of the most consistent receivers in football.
1,000.
3 years
1100.
running,
Before that,
1,000?
generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
1,200.
didn't have
1,200,
1,000 in 2022, I believe.
He didn't have
2021
it
to
last year,
2020.
but he
last
had it
season.
3 years
Facts.
running.
I'm gonna go with DJ Moore.
Yeah, probably slightly DJ Moore, but they're probably, like 13th, 14th best receivers.
Terry McLaurin.
The Terry McLaurin fans are about to come out the woodworks.
They
Terry
love
McLaurin's one of the
that
most
man.
underrated
They've
receiver
been
in the
the
National
Terry McLaurin's got to
Football
be
League.
30 years old, and they keep telling me he's top 10. It's like Jesus.
He's
Terry
close to top
McLaurin
10.
he is great. He's what now?
He's close to top 10.
I like Ayuk's size and his route running. I'll go Ayuk here.
I'm going Ayuk here too over Terry.
This is close. This is actually the hardest one I've had to think about.
Before this year, I think you'd go McLaurin, but similar to DJ, this is one inconsistent year after 3 very good ones.
I think I'll go Ayuk. It's close. I think I go Ayuk.
I'm also going to take Brandon Ayuk here.
Michael Pittman.
Easily
Brandon.
Ayuk.
Pittman's
balling
a
this
good
year.
receiver, though. Pittman's
Pittman's
a really good
balling.
receiver. I'll go with Ayuk, but Pittman definitely deserves respect.
No, I'm
Agreed.
the biggest Pittman fan here, but I think Ayuk is a level above.
I'm going with Ayuk, but I think Michael Pittman is one of the more underrated receivers in the
Agreed.
league. He's been a receiver that constantly has a switch of quarterbacks, and I think if he's finally in a stable situation, he'll have a monster year. The production doesn't match how good he is. He's a great receiver. Did all of you
Yes,
guys
sir.
go?
I took
Yeah,
Ayuk.
we all did.
Oh, okay.
I took
okay.
Ayuk.
Riv,
I said
Talk-
Ayuk.
Riv, Mr. Pittman. Yes, your guy. I told you about Pittman.
Yeah, and I became a fan when you told me. You also told me about fucking Jalen Reagor, bro. So what are we doing here?
I had
Crying.
more hits than misses on that. Don't act like
Yeah,
act
you're
like the-
sick. You
don't
had the
act
worst. No.
don't
it's
act like the track list ain't have
that year,
stars
no,
on
I'm
it.
gonna tell you that year you had a great hit, but your generational miss is just as
bad.
bad, bro.
It's bad. Let's not talk
My
about it.
generational
Let's
miss
not
was
talk about
telling
it.
you not to panic over Rager. That's what I said.
No,
That's
no,
what I
no.
said.
Your
That's a generational miss because it was
No,
fucking
yeah.
Jettas, bro.
Yeah, it's
If it was anybody else, you'd be good, bro.
Yeah, but I never said like Rager was better than Jettas. I just
No,
said
no,
that
you was
I
like
think y'all
you
be
told
fine.
me bar for bar, Riv, it's okay. Rager's a good player. That's what you said.
I said
Yeah.
it's okay, and I thought he was a good
You
player.
should have told me to panic, and I should have panicked. But we got AJ.
Well, listen,
Brown.
that's
It's
why we're
fine.
panicking on Quentin Johnson right now. That's why we're panicking on Quentin Johnson. Last name we're gonna mention, Amon Ra.
Amon-Ra. It's not even a conversation.
I would
I'll
take
go-
it. I
I'll go
think it's a
Amon-Ra.
conversation. I would take
I
Amon-Ra,
think
though.
I think it's a
definitely
conversation.
a
too.
conversation.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's
Ayuk
a
got
conversation
more
between the two
explosive.
for sure.
Brandon Ayuk's
Look
a
at the
great route
production.
runner, right up there with Amon-Ra.
They both have similar route running ability. I think Ayuk can win on the outside more consistently than Amon Ra.
Drew's
And I
pissed.
think
not pissed.
yards
I'm
after
very
the
calm.
catch, Brandon Ayuk is better after the catch as well. He's just more explosive.
I'd go Amon-Ra.
I think it's close though. I lean Ayuk. I
I
think
agree.
he's one of
I
the
agree.
elite receivers in the league. I do.
You're leaning Ayuk as well, Joel.
No, I've Amon-Ra, but I think it's
Oh,
a
okay.
conversation. Yeah.
Interesting.
NFL power rankings after week 6 gonna go 10-6. John,
Let's
give
just go
your
10-1. Let's go 10-1.
Oh fuck no!
Dude,
just
so
go
quick.
10-6.
I told you I'm not
Quick.
feeling well. This is easy.
And you've yet still been talking a lot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
10-6.
stay wrong.
10-6 is fine. Go 10-6, John.
Okay. Give me one moment to pull it up. Okay, I got it.
Here we go.
Somebody else go. Somebody else go.
But actually, no, one of y'all's got to go here.
Riv, go 10-6.
I'm definitely not ready. So somebody else go.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
God.
vomit.
I'll go 10-6. I'll go 10-6.
You picked me to go first, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. That was bold.
I picked you to
10,
go
I got-
second. You had Tom after
I was
John
texting,
Whiff.
I'm texting. I'm getting food, man.
Section.
Riv,
at 10, I got
can
the
you,
Jacksonville-
Joel, shut the hell up. Riv, lock
kill
the
myself.
fuck in. You're
Bro.
getting food? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
The Chinese
Hey.
store is gonna close soon. So I got to make sure I get my order in.
Hey,
you
I
know?
just opened up the wrong Google sheet, but you had it.
Look at this guy.
You
Go,
know what?
Dehls.
I'm not even giving my power rankings. I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, good.
Tell
I'd
me to shut
boycott
the
this shit
hell
too. Can you two? Can you lock the hell in? We're here to do a damn job.
Says the
This
guy who
guy's
couldn't
getting
come in the
food. This
fucking
guy doesn't
studio.
even have the Google Doc open.
This guy
My
didn't even.
stomach's hurting because of y'all right now.
Yeah, your stomach's hurt. Man up. It's a fucking Pepto Bismol and call it a day. Come
Come
on.
on,
My
bro.
goodness.
That's not nice. That's not
And-
nice, bro.
NFL power rankings after week 6, 10-6. Number 10, after the win against the undefeated Eagles. I got my New York Jets here, baby. New York Jets, number 10. We got a
There's
top 3
always
defense
one
in the
delusional
league.
team
And
in
you know
your
what?
Power rankings.
Zach Wilson is doing his thing. That boy, Zach Wilson got Joe Namath coming out and saying, oh, yeah, I was wrong. I hope he's a quarterback for the next 10 years. And I hope so, too.
Yeah, I looked up Joe Namath's numbers.
Zach Attack is back, baby. Number 9.
Hall of Fame Super Bowl winner.
I got the Cleveland Browns. That defense is stout. I mean, my goodness, what they did to the Niners. And if they could get just a little bit more from their offense, they could be a top 5 team in the league. Number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. Not a great win over the Chargers, but they won nonetheless, moving to 4-2. Number 7, the Eagles dropped for me. Losing to the Jets. Hurts having 3 interceptions. I got them at number 7. Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens, taking care of business in London against the Tennessee Titans. Lamar had a good game. That defense had a good game. And that's my 10-6.
No Jaguars.
They're top 5.
Oh, who the fuck is missing then? Somebody else go. Oh.
Top 5.
Who is
Goodness.
missing? Who didn't you?
The Bills are missing. I forgot about the Bills.
You dropped them out your top 10?
I
No, he
forgot
just-
about the
He must
Bills.
have
Oh.
forgot them.
Thank God.
No, I
Okay.
just forgot about them.
Okay. You
All
want to
right.
adjust
Okay.
or
No, I'll be
John.
honest. This entire segment has been one giant pile of shit. What are we doing?
I can't take my Jets out the top 10 though.
Yes, you can.
So
Yes,
the
you can.
Cowboys going out. The Bills
That's fine.
coming in.
I got
The Bills coming in.
That's cool with me.
I got the Bills at 8.
All right, I'm ready because John isn't ready. He picked up the wrong
Yeah,
Google
yeah.
Docs and shit. So number 10 for me, I got the Jags. You know, you got to respect the winning streak they've been on. They've been cruising. They went undefeated in London. That's dope of them. Bounce back. Number 9, I got Dallas. Like you mentioned, the Chargers win didn't move me, but a win is a win. I can't drop them too far down. But it felt like to me they wanted to lose that game so much, but the Chargers couldn't win it, and that's a problem for the Chargers. Number 8, I got my Cleveland Browns, man. Best defense in the league by far. This defense just continues to push, even when their quarterback does not help them at all. And trust me, PJ Walker did not help them at all. But that Cleveland Brown defense was amazing. Number 7, I got the Baltimore Ravens. You know, they steady, consistent, steady flowing in my rankings. And to finish it off at 6, I have the Buffalo Bills. You know, they didn't play well against the Giants, but I can't drop them too much. A win is a win.
Okay, a number 10. I'm sorry if someone else wants to go. I'm going to hop in. Number 10, I do have the Cleveland Browns. Of course, an impressive win against probably the best team in a lot of people's eyes in the National Football League, in the 49ers. Doing that without Deshaun Watson, impressive enough in and of itself. Number 9, this is where I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They really haven't found it on the offensive side of the ball on a consistent basis, yet they continue to win games. Impressive in its own right. Baltimore Ravens fall into number 8. That's another offense that needs to start to play with a little bit more consistency. But of course, the defensive side of the ball has continued to play great. Lamar Jackson continuing his MVP campaign, or trying to get into that conversation. As we all know, Uno's at the top. Number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. A win's a win against the Chargers, but did not look the best in that display of football. And number 6, the Buffalo Bills.
So
Like
for me, starting off at number 10, I've got the 4-2 Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 9, the 3-2 Cleveland Browns. This defense can take them places. Next up at number 8, we've got the Dallas Cowboys at 4-2. When they're involved in Brandon Cooks, it's a different type of offense. And if Mike McCarthy can realize that's kind of, the number
20 points on the
receiver that will
Jaguars is
help
a
them
different
quite a
type of offense.
Pardon?
20 points on the Jaguars is a different type of offense.
The Chargers.
Excuse me, on the Chargers, not the Jaguars.
Your boy Kellen Moore lost. How about you shut your mouth, Dehls?
Justin Herbert sucked. I'll be honest. Justin Herbert sucked.
Number 7, I had the Baltimore Ravens, who are 4-2. And then at number 6, I've got the 5-1 Detroit Lions.
I like that. My list is very
6?
similar to Riv's.
Yeah.
6?
At 10, am I ever going to do my fucking rankings? Or you guys going to keep talking? Jesus Christ.
I love when
God,
you
every
get
time I try to
dominated.
talk, it's someone
in my hand.
interrupting.
Stop.
Jesus Christ. 10, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. 3-game win streak, got to give them credit. 9, the Cowboys, an ugly win, but a win's a win. 8, Cleveland Browns. If the offense can be average, this could be a top 5 team, but the offense has been pretty mediocre. 7, I have the Detroit Lions, 5-1, but really the competition hasn't moved me a ton. And 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens with one of the best defenses in the league, and you have Lamar Jackson on their side, just picking defenses apart from the pocket. It's been beautiful to watch.
There's a lack of respect for the Lions. They're a top 5 team right now. They're 5-1, regardless of the competition they face.
Where do you have the Lions?
I have them at number 3. My top 5 teams, I got the Jaguars at number 5. Their offense is finally
Jags
starting
at
to click.
5 seems
That-
insane.
They
That
just
is
beat
high,
the
bud.
they just beat the Bills, who were on a roll. They beat the Bills in London, and
Yeah,
then they
Mickey
beat the
Mouse.
Colts.
It was
That's
a
not
home
an
game
awesome
for
win,
Jacksonville,
but it's 2 wins in a row. And the Jaguars defense looks good. Their offense is clicking. That's why I got them at 5. Number 4, the Miami Dolphins. We know the offense is electric, but the defense got to catch up. And that's why I got the Lions at 3. They got a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense. Regardless of the competition they face, I just rattled you off the records for the Miami Dolphins teams they face. It's a total of 7-26. The Lions have faced teams with a better combined record. I got them at 3. Number 2, the 49ers.
Being carried by the Chiefs.
And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know, this top 6 mix to me is all intertwined. Like, people are going to freak out the Lions are number 6. Above them at number 5, I've got the Miami Dolphins, who are 5-1. At 4, I've got the Buffalo Bills, who are 4-2. Number 3, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles at 5-1. 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And number 1, the San Francisco 49ers.
Solid list of teams there, John. Number 5 for me is going to be those Philadelphia Eagles. Secondary needs to step up. I do believe that this offense is good enough to continue to win games and ultimately propel them to win the NFC East. Number 4, Miami Dolphins. I wish their defense was better because this would probably be the number 1 team in football for me. But unfortunately, they have a terrible defensive unit carried by an amazing offense. Number 4. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs, where the offense still statistically tells you it's still one of the better offenses in football. It's been that defense that has been doing an unbelievable job this season. I believe they've only let up 20 points once this season. They've been pretty incredible this year. Got to give credit where credit is due, especially to the defensive side of the ball, because fuck that offense. Number 2, Detroit Lions. On both sides of the ball, they've been playing amazing. A top 5 offense, a top 5 defense. We already spoke about it at the beginning of the show. This team truly is one of the best teams in football right now. And out of respect, I'm not going to overreact to a loss on the road to one of the best defense in the game when CMC and Debo go out. When the team was in a position to win the game, I'm talking about those San Francisco 49ers. They're still the best team in the NFL to me.
Dehls?
Can I go?
Yeah, I was calling it.
Okay, cool. 5, I have the Miami Dolphins. They've been here basically all season long. If their defense ever catches up, they could be in the top 2. But until it does, it's going to be hard for me to put them in that top 4. At 4 is where I have the Eagles. Tough loss against the Jets. But as I mentioned when we talked about our concerns about them, they had so many things go wrong between the turnovers and the missed kicks and weird fumbles and shit, and they still almost won that game. Why they let Breece Hall score a touchdown was a bit questionable. I know the announcers were saying, oh, why did you score so quick? Like, they haven't watched 58 minutes of the Jets not being able to score a touchdown all game. But regardless, 4, I got Philly. 3, I got the Buffalo Bills. An ugly, ugly win against the Giants. But that win over Miami still holds a ton of weight in my mind, winning 48-20 to one of the best teams in football, the best offense in football. I'm not going to look at this Giants win and just kind of discredit that. Number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. The defense is great. The offense, I still have faith in. Rashee Rice seems to maybe be breaking out. Of course, you still got Kelsey there, and Pacheco's playing well. But number 1, still the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, here we go at 5. Ding, ding, ding. We got a new team. I got Detroit Lions coming in at 5. 3 straight wins. Dope. Number 4, I got the Miami Dolphins. You know, they still are one of the best teams in the league. And like Dehls mentioned, if their defense catches up, they could be the best team in the league because that offense is already damn near perfect. Number 3, I still got to keep the Eagles up there. You know, the Jets are an elite defense, but that loss, I don't think it's a bad loss. I still think the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC. Number 2, I got to put the Chiefs up there, of course. And then number 1, the best team in the league is still the Niners to me.
I got a little trivia for you guys.
Sweet.
This just popped up on my Twitter, and I think it's interesting. Shout out to Arjun Menon 100 for this graph. Can you guys guess the worst 10 teams at converting a first down in the NFL? Well, let me reword that. Can you guess the 10 worst teams in terms of 3-and-out percentage, which means they have the highest percentage of 3-and-outs in the NFL?
All right, let's all go individually, one by one. We each give a team. You let us know if they're there. All right, I'm going to start. I'm going to go with the New York Football Giants.
He doesn't have the list.
No, I do. The Giants are 9th.
Okay, Joel,
Okay. Go ahead.
9th worst.
There we go.
Oh, you want me to go first? I respect that for the culture. I'm going to head and go. I'm going to say, what's the third down?
3-and-out, which
Converting.
means a drive where an offense fails to convert a first down or a touchdown.
I'm going to take a swing here and say, I'm going to go safe. I'm going to go Washington.
Nope.
Fuck.
Washington's offense been like that. Come on, Riv.
Well, Steelers.
The Steelers are number 1, the worst team with a percentage 47% of their drives end in 3-and-out.
Wow.
The Patriots.
The Patriots are second worst at 44%.
Let's go with Carolina.
Nope.
L.
Wow.
Here we go. Eagles.
Nope. They're actually the second best.
I fucked up.
Yeah, I was just saying this. The fucking
I thought it was going to be a
Eagles.
wild.
They're actually first. Actually, they're actually
Yeah,
first.
fuck that. I thought it was going to be a wild ass pick in there.
Denver has
The
to be
Jets?
here, unfortunately.
The Jets are not here.
1 by 1.
They're actually top 15.
Cleveland. Did we say Cleveland?
Cleveland's not here.
Oh,
Either.
I guess I don't know shit.
John, go ahead,
Tennessee.
give a guess, bro. Sorry, we skipped you. Bro.
I'm sorry. I'm rattling off.
Oh,
My
good.
bad.
Titans. It's been a disaster.
The Titans are 5th.
Let him cook.
So far we have the Steelers 1, the Patriots 2, the Titans 5, and the Giants at 9.
I'm shocked that Carolina has no wins and they're not here. 3
You guys are
and
missing
out.
an obvious one, an offense that hasn't been good up until recently.
Chicago.
Cincinnati.
They're third on this list.
Yeah.
So we got the
Chicago.
top 3. And
Is
we got
Chicago
number
there?
5.
Joel said Chicago.
Chicago is not here.
Yeah, they've been cooking these last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And the Colts.
The Colts are not here.
Interesting.
I've got one.
God damn, we've listed more fucking than not.
New Orleans
Um,
Saints.
The Saints are not here.
Ooh.
Cardinals.
Arizona.
The Cardinals are not here. They're actually top 5.
All right, what about the
They
Broncos?
can run the ball. I'm thinking
The
teams that can run the
Broncos are here. They're number 6.
What
I
about
had a
ball.
feeling.
I
Buffalo?
don't name them.
Buffalo isn't here either.
Oh,
Riv,
nice.
stop naming the best teams in the league.
Hey, listen,
please.
maybe,
We're trying to
maybe
find them.
Raiders?
Yeah.
Did we say Raiders?
The Raiders are not here.
Kansas City.
The Chiefs are second best. I will
Packers.
say this.
Packers.
The Packers are the 4th worst. Yep.
They
So
suck.
far we have the top 6
point.
teams and we have the Giants at 9. So you guys are missing 3 teams. And I will tell you guys, one of the teams is one of the better teams in the league.
Detroit.
Nope.
No,
Raiders.
no way.
He said one of the better teams. Stop. Stop. Atlanta.
Ravens.
Nope. Neither.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville is number 8.
Nice.
Yeah,
Riv.
I'm
Well
cooking.
done.
Don't
Well
talk.
done.
I'm cooking
That
now.
offense really
Have
has not been
been running
good.
the ball. It's gonna be
Dallas.
Dallas
No.
is not here.
I'm done.
How many more teams do we have? 2?
You have 2 more teams. Number 10 worst and the 7th worst.
Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers are 7.
Can't run the
Yep.
ball. And the Vikings.
The Vikings, no.
They were cooking early. What team didn't we name?
The last team is a team that's one of the best teams in the league.
Again? Another one?
Yes.
Riv, we need you.
The best team in the league. Another one.
Yes.
Let me go with Seattle.
Nope.
I was gonna say
You're looking for
Cincinnati.
teams that just can't.
Cincinnati is there.
Houston? Did we say Houston?
Houston's actually top 10 at keeping drives alive.
One of the best
I
teams.
don't know what names what teams we didn't say.
Wait a minute. Don't.
Oh, I've got it. It's the Buffalo Bills.
It's
No,
not
I
the
said that
Bills.
already.
Damn.
Okay.
Okay.
This team is slotted at number 10. They're one of the best teams in the league. You guys are overthinking it.
We are overthinking it as fuck. It's not
Is it-
Miami. No
It's
shot.
not.
It's Miami.
No way. They don't punt. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they don't punt.
I'm really shocked it wasn't the Bills.
It's not Baltimore either.
Nope.
Is it Dallas? We said Dallas.
We said
Nope.
Dallas.
It's not Dallas.
And you
The
said it's not
Rams?
Kansas
I don't
City.
know who
They're
else we
amazing.
said.
They're in the
I'm
NFC.
It's not Detroit.
And there's like 3 good teams in the NFC. We
Bro said one of the best in the league. It's the Niners.
It's the Niners at 10.
Oh, really?
No
Yes.
way.
Wow.
At 37% of their drives end in 3 and out.
I wonder what that number was before going into this Cleveland game.
The Cleveland game definitely made the number lower.
Like 6.
Shout out to Arjun Menon 100 on Twitter. He's a great follow for football stats. But this is graph, yeah. So the top 10 teams in terms of that avoid 3 and outs. Number 1, Eagles. Then it's the Chiefs. Then it's the Bills. It's the Rams. It's the Browns. Chargers at 6. Lions at 7. Seahawks at 8. Texans at 9. And Cardinals at 10.
I'm shocked to see the Browns top 5.
The Jets are 14th.
I'll take that. That's all day. That's all day.
Zachary.
What number was Carolina? I'm actually curious.
Yeah, because they haven't not been able to run it.
These last 2 weeks have been definitely,
Carolina
watchable
is
offensively.
the 12th worst.
Okay. I don't feel too bad about getting that
20th or so, yeah.
Yeah. And the Cowboys are the 11th worst, so just above the 49ers.
I'll tell you what, bro. This is 2 times that I've been recording, and someone upstairs has turned off the light for whatever reason, not knowing that I'm here.
There we go.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Pick Aside Podcast, episode 319. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pick Aside Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick Aside Podcast, and also download Mojo Fantasy. It's available in 19 states and DC. Use code PAS for a deposit match up to $100. It helps the podcast out. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.